I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Peace, family. How's everyone doing?
Peace, peace. Happy New Year for those that celebrate it. Today's January 1st, 2023. New year in effect. Got some new things planned and in store. Looking forward to next month. An exciting event. Happy Day of Black Excellence. Looking forward to seeing the family in the building. Looking forward to seeing the elders and the scholars in the building, entertainers, the poets, the dancers, the drummers. Looking forward to see everyone in the building. Happy Day of Black Excellence. Please go to happyfilm.com to get your tickets now. Sophie, we got a very exciting show today. No other than Mfundishi Jhutyms, discussing a very important topic, particularly in a time like now, reclaiming our African classical culture. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of actually hanging out with Mfundishi Jhutyms. Make sure you say his last name because there's other Mfundishis out there. I had a pleasure of hanging out with him last night at his Kwanzaa celebration, and let me tell you, it was so full. He had this flute player, Nadi. I ended up buying this man's CD player. I have to pull out a CD player just so I can play this man's CD. The flute player was just dynamite. He had a fashion show. I was actually in the fashion show. We had good food. Oh my God, the food was delicious, and all the stuff that we learned, and then the gifts that was given to us by by his shrine and by one of our HAPI supporters, D Designs. Like, it was a full event. God, it was just very, very nice. Very nice. It was a great way to actually start the new year off.
In Mfundishi grand fashion, I tell you.
Yeah.
No one else does it like Mfundishi.
Yeah, I didn't have wings. I didn't have the wings. I wanted, I wasn't lucky enough to try to have the wings. But I had something on that was still real nice. So hopefully he'll post the pictures and let everybody know about, the fashion show. It was fire. Like, it was like if you came with us to Kemet with Mfundishi, like, so you know what you're getting. Okay. Right. But this was like extra special because we were like in his shrine, in his physical space. And everyone there just had a good disposition, a good spirit. I think I must have hugged every single people I didn't even know leaving. It was just really a nice event. Nice event.
Wow. Shout out to the people in the building. Got my brother Daniel LaRoche, Ron Green, Wolfman K, Gregory, several others, the great elder John Henry Staples. And family, please take this opportunity to like, share, comment, send it out to about 5 people. We want to kind of just, get everything a little warmed up before we bring in our honored guest. Take this opportunity really to kind of get the word out. For those people who have not seen the film HAPI, it's available at happyfilm.com. HAPI is a cornerstone and a staple of HAPI talks, so the HAPI movement. As we go along in this, we don't realize how many people have not seen the film. At some point, maybe we want to, for those people who haven't seen it, we'll be showing extended clips of it at the Happy Day of Black Excellence, along with extended clips of Heavy is the Crown, I'm sorry, Out of Darkness, Heavy is the Crown, Volume 1, by our brother Amadeuz Christ. So yes, definitely you want to be a part of this experience. Those of you who have not seen these great documentary films, take this opportunity to get your tickets to the Happy Day of Black Excellence in New York City. For those people in the tri-state area, we expect to see you in the building. That means the New Englanders, the New Yorkers, whether you're upstate, Long Island, the 5 boroughs, people in Jersey, come out, 153-10 Jamaica Avenue, Jamaica, New York, from 1 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, February 4th. You can get your tickets at happyfilm.com. Please be a part of this experience. As you can see here, it's going to be hosted and moderated by our brother, Dr. Ken Harris, who hosted and moderated the One Africa Power and Unity Conference in Detroit. Did a fantastic, marvelous job. He's also the president and CEO of the National Business League, which is founded by Booker T. Washington. We have our great sister there, Dr. Susan Tata of Pan-African TV, the brother Riza Islam. Man, can't get better than that. Dr. Gina Falou, one of our esteemed economists, the legendary and honored Professor James Moore, Mfundishi Jhutyms, Professor Kaba Kamene. We also got Brand Nubian in the building, performing some of their greatest hits, as well as Lyrical Faith, doing some of her great poetry, and our brother Jamal Milton. So definitely, family, you will come and be a part of this. Oh, we got to mention the African drummers and dancers. You got to be a part of this experience. There's going to be some secrets too, or some surprises also as we kind of move forward into this experience, right, Fee?
Yeah. And the other thing is that, if you're in the house, you want to make sure you come, because we're also going to have as many of the original HAPI cast members. They will be in the house. So this is, like, if you guys have purchased our HAPI movie poster, it's the perfect time. Bring your poster, have everyone sign it. We will have some posters there as well. So it's going to be, it's just, this event is, we talk about all these people that's going to be there, which is, this is great, but really, they're all there so we can really talk about this idea of Black excellence, and not only to showcase their Black excellence, but to also help you to bring out your Black excellence, because there's no way we can move forward as a people without us, walking in excellence. And, Mfundishi Jhutyms says this all the time, we are the ones that we've been waiting on, but we can't help each other if we are not, really grabbing hold of our gifts and sharing them with our community. So this event, it's, I just know that it's just going to be a bliss for like 10 hours, with everyone there. And also you have the opportunity to network. So this is going to be great. And I'm going to say right now, for the record, okay, I am from Detroit, Michigan. However, if there is more Detroit people in the house than New Yorkers, I'm like, what's going on? I'm looking at ticket sales and I'm seeing I love Detroit. Listen, I love the D, okay? But I'm like, damn, come on, New York. Kwanzaa is, today is the last day of Kwanzaa. Christmas, if you celebrate it, is over, so this is the time to get your ticket, because we have a certain amount of seats we can sell. So you can't show up there on the day of, trying to get a ticket, to see it in person, if they're all sold out. So family, we need for you guys to just go ahead and get your tickets. You're going to keep saying, oh, I'm going to get it. But then next thing you know, you'll be on the live stream, which we have unlimited amounts. So we're just saying, right. Family, please, you want to be in the house if you can make it. Definitely.
And that's what happened with the VIP tickets. We had a certain amount, and people were like, well, are there any more left? We were like, no, they're all gone. So family, let's not do CPT. We know how we do sometimes. We've been kind of promoting this for a while, and you want to get ahead of this and go ahead and secure your seats now.
Yeah.
Secure your tickets. And like Felicia's saying, about the true spirit of the event, which cannot be overstated, is that we are celebrating us. This is an expression of Black genius through art, through all different type of art expressions: film, music, dance, poetry, intellectualism, the networking, event. There's time built in. It's going to actually be a networking event. So, definitely it behooves us to really be in this space together. And it's really just ultimately going to be an expression of Black love. And let's get with it. So yeah, Fee, you want to go ahead? Let's bring in Mfundishi and we get the show started.
Yes. Greetings. Hotep.
Hotep, my brother.
Mfundishi Jhutyms.
Imani Asante Abarigani.
Yes. He was teaching us that last night. Oh my, it was such a just thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it was really nice tonight. So,
Mfundishi, we have the title of the show tonight is Reclaiming Our Classical African Culture. And it's essential when we think about where we are right now in this present day, and we're still fighting, for either one, our identity or our place in history. And, the biggest fight we have is for the minds of our people. And our people are constantly being attacked by all various different types of, entities out there that's kind of make them see themselves other than who they are. So it's very important for us to reclaim our identity. When we think about classical culture, several things that, kind of come in mind. We're on the last day of Kwanzaa, and we want to talk about I know you had several Kwanzaa activities that you've facilitated and that you've hosted. And we wanted you to speak to the importance of an activity like Kwanzaa and how important it is for us reclaiming our African culture.
We're in the midst of a war. One of my teachers, Dr. Sanjetti, Dr. Jacob Crothers, may his spirit and soul be with us, one of the first presidents of ASCAT, he wrote a book called Psychological Warfare. And that's where we're at. We're in the middle of a psychological war to claim our mind, our consciousness, and our spirit. And brother, if you don't even know you're in a war, the chances of you winning is like zero. Not 1%, not 2%, zero. So we're in the middle of a war, and we partying and Happy New Year, and we doing all of this stuff that's irrelevant to our cause. And so I just need people to know that we're in a war, and we have to step up to the plate. We're talking about Black excellence. We got to step up to the plate in every arena. I mean, we talk about there's certain things that a community needs to be able to control. You need to be able to control the politicians in your community. You need to be able to control the economics. Do we got any, Black banks and other loan agencies that can help Black people? You need to be able to control the foods, the influx of food in and out through Black farmers and things of that nature. You could control the stores, the food stores, the supermarkets. You need to be able to control the hospital. You need to be able to control the schools. And here we are, 2023 now, and basically we don't control any of that. Every time HAPI comes on, I hear James Small talk about how much money we done made. And we don't control any of those entities in our community, almost nowhere in America. So we got to step up to the plate. It's at the point now, you can't keep blaming your oppressor for having his foot up your butt. At some point, you got to straighten your back up. In fact, nobody can ride your back unless it's bent. So at some point, you got to straighten your back up. Now, we have some ingredients. And see, you've heard me say we're upside down, inside out, and backwards. So when that happens, even when I give you something good, you can't do nothing with it. Just think, Felicia and Brother Taaqiy, how many great speakers and teachers we have had in the African community since the 1800s. No other ethnic group can boast the type of quality of excellent teachers, philosophers that we have had as an oppressed African people. Nobody can compete. They can't compete with our writers. They can't compete with any of that, okay? But yet, we are still at the bottom of the totem pole in the middle of a war, unconscious. Because culture is this powerful ingredient. And our enemy understood that. In fact, our enemy understood how to do people in from actually studying ancient Kemet. Ancient Kemet, when they defeated a people, they would take their youth and bring them back to Kemet and educate them into the spiritual system. And then send them back, and they would be negotiators for ancient Kemet. Well, the European watched this over and over. They watched Persia. They watched Assyria. They watched all these people who were at the feet of Kemet now became the new Kemet. And the Europeans took that copy and did it with us. So the first thing they did was take our language. So that's why Kwanzaa is so great. Kwanzaa uses Kiswahili as the language. It's the language of the holiday. They took our story, our history. We got to bring that back, and nobody else can give you your history.
Exactly.
You got to facilitate your history. You got to facilitate your story. They educated us. Come on, does a rabbit send his baby rabbits to the fox school to be educated? If he does, they come back little lamb chops. Okay.
That's a little lamb chop.
And that's what happens to us. We're the lamb chops for the Western society. Think we built the country, and yet we only represent 3% of the country's wealth.
Yeah.
Think of all the millionaires we get, but we only represent 3% of the nation's wealth. Now, something's wrong with that black excellence there. We got, we got to understand that we got to step up to the plate. There's some things that we got to put in place as an African people. And if we're not taking control of our educational system.
I'm sorry, brother. I just want to kind of, you just sparked something.
Okay.
Taking control of our education system. You are, and correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly.
Yes.
I believe it was Nyeri in New Brunswick.
Right. I belong to Nyeri is one of the independent black schools developed in New Brunswick, New Jersey by a brother named Charles Gray. And it was named after Julius Nyeri of Tanzania, okay, who was a champion of Pan-Africanism. And that school survived for about 15 years. And because of not enough economic support, it was able to fold. In fact, my children, my son and my daughter, was educated in that school until it is defunct. And then when that was defunct, I took them to another independent private school, African People's Action School in Trenton, New Jersey. Okay, so I'm practicing what I preach. I used to drive 50 miles every morning to take my children to school and then come back and pick them up every evening.
Wow. From New Brunswick to Trenton?
Every day.
Wow. So
but the area closed, yes.
One of the knocks we hear in the community a lot of times is our lack of institution. And sometimes this is maybe a touchy subject, but I think we have to kind of speak to, because in the 70s, we had I won't say a plethora, but we had representation in terms of African-centered schools. We've seen it kind of it was some still in the 80s, but towards the 90s and 2000s, we've kind of fell off. Where did we go wrong?
Well, it's still about supporting black. That whole concept. It's not like you don't need to be Einstein or Imhotep to figure this out. Okay. You support the hand that feeds you. You support the concepts that will perpetuate you. And we have not learned that we have more trust for our former enslaver than we do for each other. That's that self-hate they've created. That I was talking with a brother yesterday, and he was trying to give out some free tickets to the show, right? To like the Kwanzaa show. And black people didn't want to take the free tickets. They suspect, is this a con? Is this something, Now, if he had gave them free tickets to a white boy and he was handing out free tickets, we'd be like, oh, can I get 2? Can I get 3? Okay, yeah. But it's distrust for each other.
Distrust upon sight.
Yes.
It's distrust upon sight.
And it's been instilled. You see, we never received therapy as prisoners of war. And that's who we were. We weren't slaves. We were POWs. We were prisoners of war. We were kidnapped, stolen, and taken from the African continent. Or coerced. Some of our kings were coerced into selling us. They had no choice. Sell us or we take you. So it was a situation like that. So either way, we are POWs. When you are released into the population, you have to be debriefed. If you go to war, you've been in the military, when you come home, they taught you how to kill. And now you come home And then we just gonna let you go in the community? Oh no, you got to be debriefed. You got to go through a debrief.
Yeah.
Africans never were debriefed. So after the Civil War, it's like just go out there on your own and pull your bootstraps up. Martin Luther King's last speech was powerful, and he talked about y'all didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you know, but you want us to. Y'all got free land grants. Y'all got all types of incentives.
Yeah.
But Black people who helped build the country. In fact, America is only one of the richest countries because of the free labor of African people. So now let me go back. How do we begin to? You got to take charge from pre-K. Why does when they do the doll test, kids ain't even started school yet. They be 3 years old. Which doll is the best doll? The white doll. What doll is the smartest one? The white doll. What doll is bad? The black doll. They haven't even been to school yet, Taaqiy. They ain't even reading, and they already know that's what's in their head. And their mothers and fathers didn't sit down and tell them that. They did it because they don't see Black excellence all around them. Black excellence is not placed in their face. Black excellence is not up on their walls. You know, in their house, every place. They got to see Black excellence from the top, from the womb to the tomb. That's how we begin to, and then you take control of that educational system. Don't talk about it, be about it. Like I said, when there was no school around, I travel 100 miles to go to find a school for my kids, or I homeschool myself. If y'all know my daughter or my son, you can see the results of that.
Yes.
All right. So you got to be serious about this. We got to take control of our minds. And going back to Kwanzaa now, Maulana Karenga created Kwanzaa to help fill that void. This is the time to talk about your culture. You heard me say culture is your medicine. So we need to hear the drummers. We need to see the dancers. We need to see the poets. We need to talk about our history. We need to talk about Pan-Africanism, our connection, because Kwanzaa is a Pan-African holiday. It's non-religious, non-political, and non-heroic. We're not celebrating Maulana Karenga. We're not celebrating any individual person. We're celebrating our culture. We're celebrating Black excellence.
Yeah.
That's what we do when we do Kwanzaa. That's Black excellence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who's anti those principles, right? You know what I'm saying? Who's anti-unity? Who's anti-self-determination? Who's anti-collective work responsibility? Who's anti-cooperative economics? Who's anti-having a purpose in life? Who's anti-being creative? And who's anti-having faith in the struggle and the political victory of our people? If they are, you need to line them up to the firing squad right now. And so we don't even have to debate with them.
You know, unfortunately, that's the fight. That's the struggle for the minds of those people who are anti-unity, who are anti-cooperative economics, you know, or anti-faith.
In 1964, Malcolm broke it down, and it hasn't changed. Malcolm said 1% is basically controlling the world. 4% works for the 1% to keep control of 90%. 90% is the food. They're the bait. And then there's 5%. You know, come on, you know about the 5%. 5% is outside of that box. And the 4% is to make sure the 5% don't influence that 90%. And so therefore they bombard us with billions of dollars worth of commercials and advertisement, free handouts, free gifts. Come get the shot and we give you $100 and a McDonald's gift certificate. Come on, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And in your gun while you getting shot, and we'll give you a Popeye certificate. Come on. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're the only, ain't nobody in the Jewish community doing that. They got guns. They got a Jewish a Jewish defense league. Ain't nobody taking their guns.
Yes,
the Italians got guns. The Irish, everybody got guns. But when Black people get guns, the church is there. Here, turn in your guns, and we'll give you a certificate to McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not only are you going to be defenseless, we're going to get you sick and retarded too at the same time.
You know, Baba Mfundishi, let's just talk strategy for a moment in terms of constructing institutions, because community donations, we know, cannot be the sole source of our economic plan, but trying to keep a school open. The funding has to be enormous, and we need like a real plan laid out. We don't have to lay out everything, but just maybe a 4 steps, because this is really important, because if our fight is starting at that very young age, and like you said, we're sending our rabbits to the Fox school, you know,
Yeah.
so you know what I'm saying, to come back rabbit lamb chops. You know, we have a problem. We're laughing, we're making light of it, but the situation is serious. It's extremely serious. And school is the first form of indoctrination, and the school system's actually getting worse.
Right.
There was some
our men are in prison, our women are in the church, and our children are in their schools being miseducated.
Yes.
So they got a plan. What's our plan?
What's our plan? Right. What's our plan? And that's the critical point. Family, please like, share, and comment. Also, if you can, be so kind, support the channel. You can do the super chats on YouTube.
Now, I had a person. Okay. I had
stars
a
on Facebook. Okay. And the Cash App is always available to everyone. It goes a long way into what we're doing and what we're building. Institution building is our legacy and what we're developing now as we move forward. So please, family, take this opportunity to do that. I'm sorry, Mfundishi, go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Even let's just deal with the Kwanzaa. I had a person email me 2 days ago, and they said, you know, churches shouldn't be doing Kwanzaa. I went to a Kwanzaa at a church, or at a community center. It was headed by a church, and on the podium was Santa Claus. Santa Claus is part of the podium, and behind me was a Christmas tree. And I'm supposed to be one of the key speakers to talk about Kwanzaa. They gave me 15 minutes, rushed me off so an 8-year-old boy can do his poetry. Okay, all right. No, I'm not hating on the 8-year-old boy. Okay, but it turned into a community talent show. You had the poets and the singers. Everybody was singing and doing poetry. And the whole history of Kwanzaa wasn't even there. And I'm looking at Santa while we're talking about Kwanzaa with a Christmas tree in the back. And I think I was the only one that saw something wrong with that. Then they boast about the gifts. I went downstairs to look at the gifts, and they were selling little white dolls. In fact, it looked like a little white nursery school. I was embarrassed for them. I mean, you have to understand, I've been to the very first Kwanzaa. I've been doing Kwanzaa since 1966. I was part of BCD, which was connected to us organization. I celebrated Kwanzaa in Newark, New Jersey in 1966 with Amamo, Amiri Baraka, Balozi Harvey, all of these people, Mfundishi Maasi. And we ushered in also, we were at the first Black Power. I was in defense for the first Black Power conference. I was right there when Kwanzaa started. There was this fire, this electricity, Black people taking control of their own history, the dances, the drumming, people trying to speak Kiswahili, all of that flavor. When the church got it, like Malcolm said, you have black coffee. When the church got it, they put so much cream in it, you didn't even know it was coffee.
But you know what? That kind of goes back to my my question about the decline in just the institutions. Where's this black fire now? You know, there was a revolutionary spirit that existed in the 60s, and you know, coming out of the civil rights struggle, we get that. In the 70s, it continued, but somehow or another, some people say integration, things like that. We drunk enough Kool-Aid to the point where we don't have that fire we once had. And you know, you got to give the enemy credit because
it doesn't get any. Nobody's feeding the fuel. I think still young people are. You think about every struggle that has really taken place. Young people have really taken the lead. We are living in a time where they put half of our young people to sleep. Between trying to buy $300 and $500 sneakers, between every other word coming out your mouth as a cuss word, between your pants hanging down, and between you being miseducated. We've lost half of our young people. In those 60s, Taaqiy, as bad as things was, families were still together. You still had a mother, father, and you were struggling together. Yeah. I don't care if you was in the projects with it. It was still a family. When the 70s came in, it was still a family. Then they brought the drugs in. They brought AIDS. They brought the crack in. And then they brought in gangster rap. And then we haven't recovered from that. And come on, and we know the number one drug pusher in America is the U.S. government. The U.S. I hope people listen to me because y'all trust the government. Y'all lining up for shots that ain't even legal. Y'all in lines getting free food just gonna make you constipated. At some point, we gotta take control. We gotta take control. We don't have to reinvent nothing, Brother Taaqiy. It's just please. We've had such dynamic leaders. All we gotta do is go back, look at a blueprint for Black Power. He lays it down what you got to do. So this ain't nothing new. Marcus Garvey in the 1915, 1918, 1920 laid down what we need to be doing. And now I want to make it clear, there are lots of African people who are doing and stepping up to the plate. They don't make the news because we don't control that arena. They're not the ones that you see on CNN. They're not the ones being interviewed. Instead, you got some fools being interviewed. Look who's getting the limelight of being interviewed lately. Buffoons.
Yes.
Listen, no other group of people have sports and entertainers as the spokesperson for their people. Do you see any Italian athletes speaking for Italian people? Any Jewish athletes speaking for the Jewish people? Any just white athletes? There's more. Look at all the white athletes. Are they speaking for America? No. We got Black athletes, entertainers who have no background in political consciousness speaking for all of African people.
Yeah, that is that is certainly problematic.
Yes, that's seriously problematic.
But you know what, Mfundishi, also, I think that maybe one of the reasons it seems like, when we talk about, like, we have it, it's all written down. We know what we need to do. And there's some people, like you said, that are doing it in our community. But, how do we address the fear that people feel about doing stuff that goes, against the government or just against, whiteness?
Again, it's just, we have to be in control of the education. Do you remember there's a Kwanzaa tape out that took place in the 60s? And it was Black, I think, put out by the Black, the brother in Temple. What's his name?
Dr. Malefe.
I think it's his son, put out this tape on Kwanzaa. And they show you the Black Panther Party used to have a free breakfast program for the kids before they went to school. And they were like, I'm Black and I'm proud. And they were like 3 years old. Who do you want to be? I want to be Malcolm X. I want to be. Where's that now, Taaqiy? Do we have anything like that? I mean, anything similar to that? No. Even when I was in Ghana, they took me. They said, this is the best school in Ghana. And everybody had suit and tie on and blazers speaking English. And that's Ghana's best school? I mean, we're in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And we just happen to be in America, but this is in the same thing in UK. This is the same thing in other parts of Europe. This is the same thing in South America. I spent 3 weeks in Brazil. Brother, as backwards as we are light year ahead of the Africans in Brazil. They never had the HBSU, black colleges and universities. They don't have nothing like that. They just were allowed to go to the white university in 2000. So the things that we're taking for granted, the rest of the Black world and the diaspora don't even have. In fact, the whole diaspora is looking for Africans who are coming from here to go back and help blossom this Black consciousness.
And it's funny you say that, because I always believe that, as African Americans, we are foundational Black Americans, Black people here in the continent of America, whatever you want to call us. We are in a leadership position.
Yes.
A very critical leadership position, and we must recognize that, and part of our duties is to bring about unity in the guise of Pan-Africanism, and it's essential. And one of the things, we have all these we're very splintered, because people, like you said, people are doing it. People are out there doing this, doing that. We don't really necessarily hear about them, and sometimes as those individual groups or small segments of individuals, it's kind of hard to move forward. And it seems like our biggest problem is really just coming together to collude and work together. Even in the so-called conscious community, we have a real serious problem of just coming together and bridging gaps and working into a unified front. And that's part of the problem. And this is why, for us, we made it very clear the importance of power and unity. And And HAPI, we strive to affiliate ourselves and work with all different types of groups and people, because this is it's extremely important, because we know as individuals, we're not going to be able to get it and do it alone. But if we work together collectively, you know, we'll achieve those goals. And this Happy Day of Black Excellence started with the collusion between Brother Amadeuz Christ and myself. And we're not in any competition. He's a filmmaker. We're filmmakers, but we decided to come together and do this kind of joint event, working together. And the films were the foundational piece. And believe you and Professor Smalls also were foundational in the sense that you were in both films. So the conversation that took place between Chris and I was pretty much like, hey, listen, if we do this project, you know, we have people that are in both films, and we can already just bring them in there and just do the panel discussion. So it's like, all right, great. And then it started growing from there. So we have to learn how to keep doing things like that. I'm not saying HAPI has the answers, but we're trying to work forward in that direction. And unity is the key to this, because there are people doing stuff. There are organizations doing stuff.
Action. Unity
yes.
Followed by constructive criticism and action. It has to be.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and we have to be the authors of the direction that we're going. I hope you understand that. No one can give you a program for liberation or freedom. It has to be something you've developed that's organic, that's coming directly out of your movement. Even when we ask those little kids, we shouldn't be doing that same little test of asking them little white kids, little black kids, what doll is the white doll? Paul Moody, may his soul rest in peace. Paul Moody said, you asking the wrong questions. Paul Moody should have said, you should have asked the little white kid, the little black kid, which kid is the serial killer? He would say, oh, the little white doll. What kid blows up schools? The little white doll. What kid is a psychomaniac that eat people? The little white doll. You know, we asked the wrong questions. You know, aptitude test is a white cultural test. Your IQ test is a white economic, cultural, European test. So watch this here. If I judge my intelligence on how well I can climb trees, there's a whole lot of people would be imbecile level. But now test them in their own cultural paradigm. You know, if you take the fastest runners and then you say, okay, now I'm gonna test y'all and see how fast y'all can climb trees. You know, all these Olympic runners now wouldn't even be able to come out there. They wouldn't be able to compete. So you have to be in control of the definition of how you define yourself. Give white folks a black cultural test and see what they score. You know, we would have imbecile. We would have people who wouldn't even be on the chart. Okay. And so we have to usher in. We can't let them define what black excellence is. Okay. And so that's what I'm going back. So Kwanzaa needs to be taken in control of people who believe in black excellence and black excellence in every field. So we got the history. So I'm trying to teach some African history here in Harlem. So I go and I volunteer my time. I go to this church and I'm really giving them some black history. The kids is loving it. They're like that. And then they say, well, Mfundishi, we won't be able to continue this because this is a conflict of interest. Learning black history and being in the church is a conflict of interest.
Oh, I mean, why are you surprised by that?
No, I'm just trying to show you.
Of course it is.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to build up this self. I'm not saying that y'all made this stuff up and you shouldn't be following it. I didn't go there teaching that. I didn't go there and saying, you know, that this person never existed and I can't find nobody in the Bible and nobody in the Bible never read the Bible. I didn't go there with that. I didn't go that Moses is a made-up character and y'all following this. I didn't put any of that stuff out there. I came and said, we as an African people have to begin to believe in ourselves, speak for ourselves. Let's talk about our great historic leaders who have done stuff. You know, no religion, no connection, and that's a conflict of interest.
Yeah. Hence this is why we're where we're at right now.
Yeah. Wow. So, you know, reclaiming our legacy, reclaiming our classical African culture, which is, you know, black excellence. You know, we
language in there too when you finish.
Well, language is next. Yo, come on, listen. We can't have you on here and not talk about, you know, the classical African language, you know, and just the importance of that in reclaiming our culture. How important is language in that process?
So language is the expression of a culture. Culture is how you are connected to nature and the world and the universe. How are you connected to that? That your culture, your survival methodology is based upon that. That's why the culture of people who live in the rainforest is different from the culture of people who live in the desert, even though both of them are black. And it's going to be different from the culture of people who live in the savannah versus people in the Sahel, because it's your relationship to the creator in terms of nature. How do you survive and how do you flourish? And language expresses that. And so when you got almost all of the countries in Africa as their national language is a European language, whether it's German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, English. And there's only a few countries, in fact, the only African language that's the indigenous language of an African people at any country is Kiswahili. And now I believe there's 13 countries that have embraced, and mostly East Africa, going all the way down to South Africa, have embraced Kiswahili as the language that every school child will take in school all the way up. And so that's a good thing. You remember, I don't know if you remember, it's like even going back to the 70s, Jomo Kenyatta, Jewish, they were trying to do that then.
Yeah.
But the Europeans were able to block it and break them back up into smaller groups. But now that's starting to happen again. So if you can only think in the language of your former enslaver, I hate to say this, y'all, but you're retarded. You're retarded, backwards, and upside down, because your highest esteem is something backwards. Your highest esteem is a language that's anti-black. Black Friday, black so-and-so, black male. Come on, look at this. Hello. What the hell? Oh, what? It's good morning. Why are you mourning? Did you kill somebody last night? The whole language is enriched to be anti-African. Now, I'm not saying just stop speaking English, but you notice a lot of people, they come here with their indigenous language. They'll speak English when they go out in public, but when they go home, they speak their language.
Yeah.
I remember doing Kwanzaa. I used to make my kids, everything had to be in Swahili. I don't care if you need to go to the bathroom. Baba, Nina Kwenda Cho Tapatali. Everything got to be in Kiswahili, or you starve that day, So you learn the language kind of quick. Okay.
Well,
you try to hold it. Choni Tapatali, no, you gotta sometimes when you're in an extreme situation, you need extreme measures in order to counter it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I appreciate about your event last night is that you made sure that we that we knew all the words in key Swahili as well. Right. Like, you was not messing around. And the people in your shrine, that Wajedi, like all of them are just like at the top.
I teach leaders, not followers. I teach leaders.
Absolutely. They are straight up leaders. Yeah.
And so that's why we broke down everything. Like we talked about the Unity Cup, Kikumbu Kwa Umoja. We talked about Mishaba, the 7 candles. We talked about Zawadi, the gifts. We broke down everything from the ear of corn, Zuhini. We talked about the Kinara, which means candle holder, the Kinara. Not to be mixed up with a Minara, but a Kinara is the Kiswahili word for candle holder. We talked about the Mkeka, the mat. And we even defined that Kwanzaa actually means the Swahili word for first. They added an extra A to distinguish just the word first for the word first fruits as a cultural unity harvest celebration. And Malana Karenga expressed it even when he was putting Kwanzaa together. He looked at almost all Africans on the continent celebrated some type of a harvest celebration where all the people come together, you work together, and then you yield together, and we all benefit. So no matter whether it was in East Africa or West Africa, they didn't call their holiday Kwanzaa, but it was a harvest celebration. So he decided to have, so Kwanzaa is like a harvest celebration. Plus he wanted to get rid of the hardship of Christmas, of running around trying to find gifts for everybody. And then you give your money right back to the people who got his foot up your butt. Right back. Let me just take this 1 minute, Taaqiy.
Take as much time as you need.
I need people to understand this, because we are actually glorifying something that's retarded. Some people tell you, I don't want you to shop in my store. And you go, oh no, you're going to take my money. And you picket them. Take my money. Take my money. Now your sign don't say that, but that's what it really says. Take my money. Take my, and they come out and spit on you. We don't want you in here. We don't want your money. No, you're going to take my money. Take my money. And you get 1,000 people to boycott the store. Take my, and finally the person say, all right, come on. Come on in and give me your money. You can't work here still, but give me your money. And then we so happy. That was a victory. And then we got somebody on the news. Yes, we just integrated another store or another school. That's insane. You don't want my money? I'm not giving it to you. You know, when we had the Montgomery bus boycott, we brought Alabama's Tuskegee, we brought them to their knees. We should have opened up our own bus company.
100%.
And we said, okay, wait, folks, we can send any place we want now. Okay, we'll come back and give you our money. That's crazy. So I know y'all haven't got that perspective that I'm giving you, but technically that's what it is. If you don't want my money, don't listen. When I first went to college in the 60s, I went to Norfolk State University. When I first got there, there was a black downtown and there was a white downtown. There was black supermarkets. There was a white supermarket. There was a black movie theater, white movie theater. Black diners, white diners. The black community was thriving. Black lumberyard, white lumberyard. And the Norfolk State is in the middle of the black community. Kind of a middle-class black community. Really. And everybody was helping everybody. I could black gas station. You go there now, and all of that's gone. There's no more black downtown. My daughter, I talked about it so much, my daughter went to Norfolk State. She had scholarships to go to other colleges. I think I did such a rah-rah. She went there, you know, and I took her, I said, I'm going to show you where the black downtown is. It wasn't no black downtown no more. I'm going to show you where the black movie theater. Wasn't no black movie theaters. You had to only go to the white theaters. It was only the Scope downtown, the Norfolk Scope. You know, they co-opted it, and we thought that was a victory. That's not a victory, y'all. You know, and white folks is happy. I mean, we got some niggers in our organization too. You know, so we got to reevaluate. And I want people to clearly understand. I'm not talking about just individual white people. I'm not hating on individuals. It's the U.S. government. Think of gerrymandering, redlining, government loans, bank. That's a government issue.
Yeah.
The government is intrinsically racist. Now, I know I'm probably on the hit list at this, but that's all right. I've been on the hit list most of my life. Okay. You got to talk about what is correct. And what is correct is that African people, we got to begin to learn. Now, you know, I'm a component. I teach Madu Netcha. That's our classical language. We talk about black excellence. That's our classical language. Classic means the best that you have to offer. Every group on the planet Earth that's intelligent and has some type of sophisticated form of education is copying what was done in the HAPI Valley, Northeast Africa. I need to really be clear about that. And nobody speaks more languages than African people. And we're the best French-speaking people. The best French-speaking people. We're the best German. We're the best Russian-speaking people. We put Russia, we allowed them to speak their own language with Pushkin and all of them. They're the ones that brought the Russian language. Other than that, they just be doing Latin and Spanish. Okay? So we don't even know who we are. But we need to be speaking. You can still speak English, but learn your language too. You come home, you put English on the book on the coat rack with your coat. You know, and you start speaking Madu Netcha. You start speaking Swahili. You speak Yoruba. You speak Ashanti Tree. You speak, you know, whatever language that you're indigenous to. But we say everybody should learn some Madu Netcha. And what I found out, like when I was teaching at the University of Accra in Ghana in Legon, University of Ghana in Legon, in the African states, I was teaching a Madu Netcha class to Ashanti Tree speaking people. So we were using Ashanti, no English, Ashanti Tree and Madu Netcha. And they didn't know half the words in their own language. Because they learned their language symbolically, and that's the way people learn it. They don't learn it symptomatically. They learn it symbolically. Simon says, do this. Simon says, say this. Simon says, say that. So you don't even know why. The Amadeuz lecture now made them go back and reevaluate every word they thought they knew in their own language. So it made their Ashanti tree richer. We have a word in tree called abroni. So if I ask the average Ghanaian, what does abroni mean? They mean, oh, it means foreigner, the white man, the foreigner, the white man. In fact, they'll even call some of y'all a brony, right? Because you're a foreigner. You know, oh, you're a brony. No, a brony means in their original, symbolically, it meant destroyer. So their ancestors knew when they saw them, they were destroyers, a brony, okay? But because you learned your language symbolically, not symptomatically, because you're not connected to nature, you don't even know the real roots of the words that you're saying in your language that you speak every day. And this goes on between almost all the African languages now. They're learning their stuff symbolically instead of symptomatically, because you're learning from somebody who don't even know nature, who's at war with nature. So even when you learn their language, you can't learn symptomatics because they don't even have that in it. They don't know why.
Dialpad's AI.
So it's important for us to understand symptomatic thought versus symbolic thought. Symptomatically is I intrinsically know it. So we talk about Black excellence. Black excellence can't happen unless people get rid of symbolic thinking. Symptomatic thinking. We are great and I can define why we are great. We are the best athletes and I can define and show you why we are the best. We are the best intellectuals. I can show you why. We created writing and I can show you. I can define it. I can prove it. It's not a feel-good thing. And so that's what Black excellence in every field has to be there. I can back it up. I can prove it. I can show you examples and beyond the shadow of a doubt. It's not a feel-good thing. So when we're telling people to come on February the 4th and talk about Black excellence, this is not a feel-good thing. This is not just trying to make Black people feel good. We're coming to show you some of the best speakers, some of the best performers, some of the best artists. And we're saying this is just a sample of who we are. This is a sample. So I tell people, come early and stay late. Get your ticket, come early, stay late, put your money where your mouth is, and come out and support the vendors. Come out and come out and network. You mentioned this, Sister Felice. Come out and network if you don't do nothing else. You don't know where any Black schools are? Come out. I'm sure you'll find somebody. There's something called CB, the Council of Independent Black Institutions. You can find it. They have a homeschooling thing. So you can do homeschooling. Come out and support the people. Find out what Black excellence is all about.
Yeah.
And get serious with your Kwanzaa. Stop making Kwanzaa a community talent show.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, let me tell you, Mfundishi Jhutyms, when you one of the things you said last night, I thought that was really key, is that we need to be practicing Kwanzaa every day of the year. And there's no reason why we really can't. But it's this idea of like, when we're saying, because we are so conscious, we are so close to this, this information, to this education, but we have to actually do it. We can't just say it, and we can't like wear stuff so we look like we're doing it. Like we have to actually do it. And we know people, who are wearing stuff and, and saying stuff, but they're not doing stuff. And so it's really, I just hope that, everyone just looks inside themselves. And I keep talking about this in looking at yourself, because we can't move forward with you. Like you said, the firing squad. I wouldn't go say the firing squad, but I'm just saying we can't move forward though if people are not willing to look at themselves for real.
Let me
like,
say something.
You're not supporting Black.
Let me say something about the firing squad, so people won't take me wrong. When you look at organizations that people just kind of back off of, let me just take some gangsters. Let me just take the mafia. You don't double cross the mafia. They don't just come and kill you. They kill your parents. They kill your grandparents. They kill your cousins. They kill your next door neighbors. They kill anybody you said hi to. So you ain't telling on them. You ain't no Uncle Tom Italians. Ain't no Uncle Tom, even Jews, Uncle Tom Jews, go. You got to get out of here. You know, ain't no Uncle Toms in any of those people. In fact, Malcolm used to show us a cover of Life magazine. There was about a 10-year-old girl blowing her father's brains out right in front of the camera because he was an Uncle Tom Chinaman. When that girl grew up to be a full-grown woman, it was no more Toms in China. You got to make Tomism one of the shortest professions in America. Right now, all of our Toms are millionaires. Yeah. They can sell out Harlem, sell out everybody, and have millions of dollars and still be on Eyewitness News, still be on the cover. Do they even have a Jet magazine anymore? No, okay. Amsterdam News. They'll still be on the cover of Amsterdam News. We're the only people that Tom's is a celebrated holiday. And you be telling your kids, son, I want you to be just like that Tom. You don't say that, but that's what it means. That's the same thing as sending your kids to wolf school. You know, come on, Tom. Be just like him, right? Prodigy Woodson in 1930 said our most educated by Europeans will be our new enslavers. So because you got doctor in front of your name, before you got some big title in front of your name, what is your record? What is your track record in the community?
Exactly.
Where did you go to school? What are you putting? And now let me look at your kids. What are your kids doing? You know, you the champion of Black Power, and your kids are drug addicts. Okay, you know, I got a little problem with that. I know you can't control the total life of your school, but kids. But remember, kids do what you say and what you do, and they have to go together. If you only say it, it's like telling your kids, "I don't want to catch you smoking, boy." You know, no. As soon as you leave the room, he lighten up. He's gonna be just like dad or mom's. Okay, so you gotta, you know, you got to practice what you preach. Kwanzaa, I'm not sure, Taaqiy, because I don't have statistics, but I think it's probably at a low, an all-time low, instead of being at an all-time high. I stand to be corrected, but I'm thinking, and then like I'm saying, some of the Kwanzaas is so watered down that I've been to, I went to 4 or 5 Kwanzaas this year out of the 7 days, and not outside of my own, not one was pushing African culture and African excellence.
Or eating good food, because we
eating healthy vegetarian food.
Yeah, that food.
You got Kentucky Fried Chicken up there, you know.
Yeah.
When is the Colonel part of Kwanzaa?
Yeah.
Or Popeye, Louisiana chicken. What's that?
Yeah, we went to a little church one earlier this week, and I was telling Mfundishi Jhutyms that, you know, they had macaroni and cheese, fried chicken, and I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't look like, even the presentation of Kwanzaa doesn't even look like, you know, what we're supposed to be eating. But
even the presenters don't even come out with, come on, at least have one African outfit waiting for Kwanzaa. You know, at least have 1 or 2 that you can pull out, you know? No, you come to Kwanzaa in the suit and tie. Your enemy's armor. That's your enemy's armor. Just like a police has a uniform, capitalist armor is a European suit and tie. So if you go to a Black Power meeting and everybody's dressed in a suit and tie, there's a cultural disconnect. I was at a State of the Union in Ghana. They brought in the president of France. The president of France comes in his French suit, custom tailored suit. He came in a Peugeot, a French car, and he stayed in a French hotel in Ghana. And he delivered his State of the Union in French, and it had to be translated. The Ghanaian president comes in a Mercedes-Benz, which is German, stays in a Chinese hotel, and gives his State of the Union to Ghana in English. Now, Ghana got their own car. They got their own. They manufactured the Tonka. They got their own car.
They have the Tonka.
Yeah, they got their own car. It's fabulous. So why isn't the government pushing that car? Why is he comes in a German car? You see, he didn't even understand what was going on. The French guy was clear about who he was.
Yeah, the Katonka. The Katonka.
Right. And it's a fabulous car. And they got like Sudan, they got the 4-wheel drive, they got the family car, they got, yes, you know, they got a fleet of vans that's being done in Nigeria, better than all the Toyota and all of that stuff. And so we can begin to do that. See, those are the steps you got to do. Now, here's the president of the country ain't even doing it. So what kind of example is that for the regular people? You know, Ghana at one time when this guy first came into office was going to make French mandatory in high school. And my friend Obadeli Kumbone who is from America, an African from America who lives in Ghana now, is a Ghanaian citizen, led the campaign to make sure that French was not a mandatory language. They said, if you learn French, it's going to give you more opportunities. More opportunities to work for Europeans?
Yeah.
How about making Ashanti Tree mandatory? You know, that's not mandatory in school. In fact, my good friends tell me they got beat if they spoke their local language in school. You had to only speak English. So this is what's going on. And we can control this, y'all. Black excellence. Black excellence in language. Black excellence in expressing your culture. Let's have a campaign to see how black excellent we can make Kwanzaa next year. Let's push that. Let's black excellence in every area. We got to be able to do it.
So, Bob and Mfundishi Jhutyms, the language piece. We spoke of the importance of learning Medu as one of our classical African languages. How can people take that process? You know, what's the steps that are necessary?
Well, now there's quite a few places or shrines that that are teaching Medu Neter. Let me say this: when you take hieroglyphics at the university, that's not Medu Neter. That's hieroglyphics. You're not learning culture. You know, in order to learn Medu Neter, you need somebody that's also an Africologist, one who understands the culture of the ancient Egyptians, the ancient Kemetu. Language and culture are the same. When you learn hieroglyphics, you're just memorizing, you're doing symbolic. You just learn, go means Shem. Kum means Eam. You know, so you just learn words. That's symbolic thought. And you don't understand the action behind it. When Medu Neter is holographic, you have to use the whole body. You have to use your spirit. You have to understand the spirit world. So the Europeans don't believe spirit exists. So that's lets you into metaphysics. Okay. Other than that, they think spirit is hocus pocus. That's one of the keys here first. So you have to understand the spirit world. Then you understand the mineral world. The planet is a mineral. The sun is a mineral. But somehow, when we give homage to the minerals and tap into that image, we're doing voodoo or something. Okay. And if you knew what voodoo was, you would be running towards it. Okay. All right. Then we talk about the plant domain. The plants feed off of the minerals. They feed off of the minerals. The minerals is the foundation for plants. And then the plants is the foundation for animals. And all animals were here before we were. Animals are here to teach us how to survive in an ecosystem. You want to find water in the desert? Look at the animals who are getting water. Where are they going? You want to find food in the rainforest and see what's poisonous, what's not? Look at the animals. You want to see who's dangerous in the savannah? Look at the animals. You learn the prey and the predator right away. You want to learn domain? You look at the flight. Look at the birds. Look how the prey and predator in that world. Look at the fish domain, the animal, the insect domain. We uncovered every aspect. Language, Taaqiy. So culture. Nobody tells you in English what's the strongest creature in the world dealing with how we should pattern our lives. In ancient Kemet, they say Kepper, the dung beetle. In proportion to its size, is the strongest creature on the planet. Can lift 1,150 times its own weight. Can you imagine living 1,000 times your weight and running down the street and don't even get tired?
I'll be a Marvel Comics.
Okay, no, you'd be shot. The police.
The bullets probably wouldn't even hurt if I'm that strong.
Okay, so what I'm trying to show you here is excellence. We understood nature. You got to get back to nature, y'all. You got to get back. I know people who've been listening to me say, Mfundishi wearing this out. No, I'm not, because y'all ain't doing it. When I wear it out, that's when everybody's doing it, and I'm still talking about it. Now I'll be wearing it out. But as long as we're not doing it, as long as we're the most oppressed people in the community, as long as we're the only people who don't know our culture, as long as we're the only people who don't educate our children, as long as we're the only people who, listen, we used to be the most long-lived people on the planet. You remember the long-lived Ethiopians. Now black people in the richest country has the shortest lifespan. I say the men are in jail, the women are in church, and the children are being dumbed down in their schools. So you got to take all of them back. You got to get the men out of jail. You got to have rites of passage programs. You got in a village in Tanzania where I was at, you couldn't get married unless the man had went through a rites of passage and the women went through a rites of passage. Other than that, you wasn't even eligible to be married. Because you got to know what a man is, and a woman has to know what a woman is, and you got to know your responsibilities. Do we have that in America? We having babies.
Well, we also don't have gender roles. There's no gender. You can be.
No. So we're going back to ancient Rome and Greece.
Yeah,
and we almost leading. we almost leading the parade to be Greeks and Romans. Not even understand, and then we want to teach that to our babies. So you got to take control, y'all. Kwanzaa is just one of those steps. And like I said, we need to practice Kwanzaa all year round. But when I did those principles, we don't know nobody that's anti those principles. I don't even care what religion you belong to. You're not anti any of those principles. So we can practice that all year. Africa is in a dilemma. From central to north is predominantly Islamic, and from central to south is predominantly Christian. And both of them are the greatest enslavers of African people. I'll say this. I'm not biting my tongue. Islam, I'm not talking about just Arabs. Islam as an institution and Christianity as an institution has enslaved more African people than any other institution. And yet, there's more African Muslims than there are Arabs. There's more African Christians than Europeans. In Europe, they've turned their cathedrals into discos and movie theaters and stuff like that. The number one Catholics in the world now are the Hispanic people. They're shoving it down their throat. When I went to Brazil, big festival, and they walking down the street with White Mary and some other white saints. And they got the Candomblé, the black people in there, all of it with it. But they say they have to do that so that they can even do Candomblé. So, Taaqiy, we got to get some backbone, brother.
Oh yeah. Stand up straight. I've been to know
the Jed column. That's one of the main symbols. The Jed column. You need some backbone. Remember, nobody can ride your back unless it's bent. We got to stand up straight, and we got to be willing to die. Now, I know some of my students have a problem with this, but in the 60s, we used to have an expression. We used to come out when it was time to go to war. We used to say, "Today is a good day to die," but I'm not dying alone. Today is a good day to die, but I'm not dying alone, okay? And for the glory of the struggle, okay? You got to be willing to die. Malcolm used to tell it, the price of freedom is death. If you're not willing to pay that, then freedom is always going to avoid you.
It's going to be very expensive if you're not willing to pay that. I just want to take a quick pause and just thank everyone for the love, support. Definitely pouring in the super chats and the cash apps. Thank you, family. It's greatly appreciated. A couple of folks have taken this opportunity to secure their Happy Black Day of Black Excellence tickets. Definitely want to keep doing that for those who do not have their tickets. Definitely take this opportunity. Seating is limited. Space is limited in the building. Please, family, do not wait till the last minute. I know this may look like a month out, but people, this has been, how long have we been doing it now, Fee? About a month and a half?
Yeah, we started it like in the middle of November.
Right. So we've, there are already quite a few tickets that are already purchased already. So We're not really not sure how many is left, but please, family, don't wait to the last minute. I see a lot of love support coming in from those people who traveled with us to Kemet. Definitely, appreciate that, family. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, Mfundishi, you were about to tell people how or where they could go learn the classical African language, because that's the important piece. Giving them solutions.
So they can go on my website, mfundishijhutyms.net. I also believe that the Shrine of Ma'at teaches Madu Neter. They can go to, we offer a course also at the Genesis Black International Museum in Harlem, 504 126th Street. They can go there and sign up for Madu Neter. So I know those. My sister, my teacher, Sister Riketti Aman, also has a class. No matter where you are in the world, you can take her class. You look up Sister Riketti Aman, and so she teaches the Madu Neter class. And there's a couple of other components. So if they put in Madu Neter, it'll be good. I'm just telling you, if you take it at the university, that's hieroglyphics. That's not Madu Neter. You're not learning the culture with that. If you can't get nothing else, then naturally take that until you can get to a real Madu Neter class. But remember, this is our classical language, y'all. Classical language. And the reason why I want to say this, Taaqiy, the reason why we're not hearing a conglomerate of dynamic Kemetic scholars today is because a lot of these people who are doing Kemet don't read and write the Madu Neter. So they're only reading the books that white Egyptologists put out, who are anti-African. They want to say that Black people, that the ancient Egypt were not Black people. So the people who put out all the books on Egypt claim that the ancient Egyptians was either white or Arabs. So if you take a class with somebody like that, you're not going to necessarily come back feeling good. Okay, so I just need to clearly understand that. So taking hieroglyphics and taking Madu Neter is totally two different things. Okay, one is teaching Black excellence. The other one is teaching symbolic thought. Okay, symbolic thought. That's why they can come out with all these movies. There's number of white people in the movies, and they're the pharaohs. And then you bring Black people on, like somebody like Skippy Gates, and he had a special on ancient Egypt, and he used all white Egyptologists. And then they said the only Black pharaohs was in the 25th dynasty. I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then you got Black people to substantiate that. Well, no, he had all white people substantiated. He brought no Black scholars in. In fact, I want people to examine me. Every museum in the world, if you go to their bookstore, they don't have one book authored by a Black author. No Thea Benga, no Dr. Diop, no Black author is in a Black museum. They got control. And I say this, whoever controls the situation defines the situation. And so can you imagine going to a German store to learn about Germany and not one German author is in there? Do you think they would allow that to happen? So we gotta look. Nobody's doing what we're doing. I think when I see tourists riding through Harlem taking pictures, click, 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 they're amazed. We're the happiest slaves on the planet. They got our foot up our butt and we just as happy and they just taking pictures. I don't go to Europe taking pictures of Europeans, but they come here and they just want to shoot pictures of Black people because we're the happiest slaves on the planet. I'm not telling you to be angry and mad. I'm saying take control of your life. Be an African in America. Be an African on your way out of America. But be an African, no matter what you're doing. And teach your children to do that. So language is important. Taaqiy, in my book, Spiritual Warriors Are Healers, on chapter 9, is dedicated to Kwanzaa. At the end of that chapter, I have some questions. I think I just 5 or 6 questions that the audience might have. So I answered them already. I say, what is the origin of Kwanzaa? And I explained in 1966, Kwanzaa, out of an uprising where Black people were dissatisfied with the conditions and we wanted to teach our history and culture and to understand Black excellence. Is Kwanzaa a Christmas substitute? No, it is not. We're celebrating 7 principles and it's happening at the end of the year so that you can come in with the new year with a new attitude and be fortified with Black excellence. How important is gift giving in Kwanzaa? It's not that important. And when you do give gifts, the important thing is that you're supporting Black vendors, or you're creating the gifts yourself, and you're supporting a Black economics, unjama, cooperative economics. So that's the economics that's important in Kwanzaa. How is Kwanzaa celebrated? And we talked about there's 7 days. Each day you light the candle, you speak Swahili, Habarigani, and the first day is Umoja, and then you say Umoja, Asante Habarigani, and the person says back Umoja. And how do you practice that principle? And each day when you bring people up to celebrate and you light that candle, you should be talking about how do we celebrate that principle in our community or in our family so that it becomes real to people. See, if it's just on a piece of paper, that's static. That's just two-dimensional. That don't mean anything. How are you turning that alive? The next question. Why is Kiswahili used? Because it's the most widely spoken language on the African continent. It's a trade language. More people speak African Kiswahili than any other African language on the continent. Okay. It's a language that's embraced by several African countries. And like I said, there's 13 countries today that teaches Kiswahili in all of their schools from pre-K up to they graduate. So that's a change. That's starting to grow. How do one dress in Kwanzaa? You wear African clothes, African paraphernalia. Again, you're supporting Africa. If you're not sewing it yourself, you're supporting some African vendors or African tailor. You use authentic African fabric. Don't go get an Indian African outfit. Okay? Don't go get a Chinese African outfit, because the Chinese and the Indians got African outfits out there. But you can tell by the fabric, and stuff like that. Don't get a Chinese because it's cheap. Don't get an Indian one for $19.99 and think you celebrating Africa. No. Celebrate. Wear African attire, African clothes, African paraphernalia. Wear an ankh to show that you're down with African unity and the life of African people. And again, when it's celebrated, not only those last 6 days, 7 days, but it's also we should be celebrating the values of Kwanzaa all year round. So those were some general questions. And the decoration, the colors of Kwanzaa is red, black, and green. I went to Kwanzaa, I ain't seen no red, black, and green. How you gonna have Kwanzaa without red, black, and green? That's the official colors of Kwanzaa. Okay, so red for our struggle, black, just not just the candles, but your decoration is even red, black, and green. And like I said, I went to several Kwanzaas, and that theme was not placed all over the place.
So, Mfundishi, when we think about, you mentioned a little, maybe about 10, 15 minutes ago, spirituality and reclaiming our classical African culture through spirituality. Are language and spirituality synonymous with each other?
If it's indigenous, yes. If you just learned it symbolically, no. So if you look at all indigenous people around the planet, you'll see that their indigenous cultural language was very spiritual, because they were showing their relationship to nature. They were showing their relationship to the ancestors. They were showing their relationship in harmony with nature. So yes, it started out spiritual, and then from spiritual, it manifests physical. And then the physical was expressed in a language. But yes, all indigenous languages, even indigenous European languages, at its very inception, was connected to nature. And then as they began to move into their domain, they became anti-nature. We became pro-nature. Then somebody talked us out of being pro-nature, and now we anti-nature. How can you go and cut down the rainforest when you need air to breathe? How are you going to pollute the water when you need water to drink? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's anti-nature. And so people's language expressing that's called modernization in European technology. That's the Industrial Revolution. No, that's anti-nature. Okay, so we have to begin to understand that spirit is first. Then comes the mineral. Then comes the plant. Then comes the animal. Then comes human. And we're supposed to use all of those to build our civilization. Civilization void of spirit is capitalism. Civilization void of understanding the mineral domain, I don't even know what that is. A civilization void of, then you just be living off of just dead meat, and you got to have meat in every meal. There's some people, even in the black community, they don't consider having a meal unless you got something dead in there, unless you killed something. Okay. And when you make an animal, when you disconnect them and make them extinct, you offset the ecosystem. Because every animal, every creature was put here for and in a geographical location for a particular reason. So, for example, in Texas, they had to import scarabs because they got the pesticides killed all of the insects that would protect them. And so now the water had feces in it. The crops couldn't grow. Because they offset the ecosystem. The Native Americans used to rotate crops so that the minerals could get back in. Europeans came in with the plantation farms and they plant the same thing over and over and over. And so they got no minerals. Dr. Africa showed us an apple from 1950. You had to eat 10 apples in 1990 to be equivalent to the nourishment, the nutrients that was in an apple one apple in 1950. See, so the science of eating, but you don't know nothing about the mineral domains, the plant domain, the spirit domain, and everything has spirit. I tell people spirituality is science that can't be measured, touched, or felt, but you can see the end results. Physical science is spirituality that can be seen, touched, measured, and felt. They're both legitimate. And the end results, I can show you the same thing. But you see, you can't control spirituality because I can't count it. I can't measure it. I can't harness it. I can't dictate. So therefore, the Western world can't use that because they can't control it. They can control the physical science. And so therefore, that's the only one that they call legitimate. In fact, even today, and I even hear black intellectuals saying that, for example, some of the spiritual science is pseudoscience. You hear this. I heard it, brother. Oh, yeah, Mfundishi teaching crystals. That's pseudoscience. That stuff ain't real. I tell them, is gravity real? Call gravity pseudoscience and see where you going. Okay? And crystals, the energy coming from crystals, the energy coming from energy in the minerals, don't care whether you believe it or not. A quartz crystal is going to be powerful whether you believe it or not. Now, if you do believe it, I can harness that energy to help focus and direct. If I have a pyramid, a crystal made out of a pyramid, it creates negative ions, which is helpful for human beings. I don't care whether you believe it or not. It's still happening. Now, if you tap into it, I'll be able to focus better. Have a greater mental stability. I'll be able to do certain things that I wouldn't be able to do if I was stressed out. Come on. You got watches that run off of the pressure put on a crystal. Tesla created electricity by studying the pyramids and the Ankh and Kemet. So when people call it a pseudoscience, you know what? I just laugh and say, nature forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay. Just forgive them. Just forgive them. I'm not even mad at you. I'm not mad at you for being ignorant. I'm not mad at you for hating on Mfundishi, because really you're just hating on black excellence. That's what they hating on. We create
now, family.
In fact, I saw there was a special on, I forgot what channel it was on, but it said that the ancient Africans could not have created the jewelry that Tutankhamun was wearing because they didn't have the technology. They couldn't be cutting crystals and stones and gems and smelting iron. So it had to be some aliens or something that came here and did Tutankhamun's jewelry. This was the national TV. This was by the I forgot but somebody that you love and you trust told you some nonsense like that. And black folks said, yep, I knew it. I knew Akhenaten was an alien. Stuff like that. We got to define our own truth. That's black excellence. Nobody defines other people's truth but them. Black people have to learn that lesson. That's what black excellence is partially about. Defining your own truth based upon the spirit, the mineral, the animal, the nature, the plant domain, so that you can be the best human that you can be. And that's what being human is, that you've actually taken consideration all those other domains. You can't be human ignorant of the minerals. When the planet is a mineral, the sun is a mineral. When we said we're the sun children, we actually meant that. And then somebody tricked you out. Oh, sun worship is paganism. And then they got a picture of Jesus with the sun behind him. That's a halo. We're going to change the definition. That's a halo. No, that's the sun, y'all. You go to Washington, D.C., and you go to the Masonic buildings. On every door, there's like a lion or something with the rays of the sun all around it. That was sun worship. And why are you ashamed of worshiping the source of energy of all life on the planet? Somebody tricked you out of giving reverence to your own ancestors. All I say is get away from those people. Just get away. And you have the right to be crazy. People heard me say that before. You have the right to be crazy. You just can't be crazy on me. So if you want to be crazy, go wild out over there. And we're going to wild out and do what we need to do to bring in excellence over here.
You know, thank you for that. Dua. So we talk about, again, you know, reclaiming our classical African culture. We talked about Kwanzaa, language. Now I want to get into the history piece and talk about just how important it is. Because we kind of, and talk about spirituality too, excuse me, left that part out. The history piece and just how important it is for us to, maybe we can call it our story, history, whatever. You know, we could play on the words, but I think we understand, you know, what it is, learning our story, learning who we are, so we could define ourselves and, you know, in our past and again, and develop our future. Learning our history, how was that connected to Black excellence?
Well, first of all, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know why you're where you're at, and you have no clue on where you're going, or you're at somebody else's mercy. So if that makes some sense to people, then you know why you need to know your history. You need to know what happened to you. See, it's not where you fell, it's where you slipped. You need to go back to the source. So everybody understands the source of their origins. Muta Baraka says slavery is not even part of our history. Slavery interrupted our history. Okay? So, I mean, we got light years of information before the Europeans and the Asiatics even became awakened. We know that life began on the African history. So all people got to do, they don't have to be pro-Black. All they got to do is study anthropology, archaeology, and the study of human life. And they realize that life started on the African continent. Not Europe, not Asia, not North America, not South America, but in Africa. And not only just started in Africa, was in Africa for millions of years before it went to any other continent. So, see, that's part of history here. We need to understand it. So, who is the original man? If you still believe the Adam and Eve story, that Eve came from the rib of Adam, Adam was short of ribs because he had Lillian first. Lillian was his wife before Eve. So he was running really short on ribs. Okay, all right. So we got to analyze that. And now Adam only had 2 sons. So how you gonna have 2 sons and populate the rest of the world? Ain't nobody questioning that. And then one of the sons killed the other one. So now and then who you going to marry if y'all the only ones? So people not see, that's symbolic thought. So when you know your history, you know that's a fairy tale. I'm sorry, y'all. That's a fairy tale. That if you believe in that, you also believe in Bugs Bunny, Donald Duck, and Elmer Fudd. Okay? They're all in the same ballpark. It's a creation of somebody's imagination to control people, to get your dollars, to get your money, and to control you. And so history, Hitler said history is a lie agreed upon. His story. Not our story. His story. The lie agreed. Hitler also said if you tell a lie often enough and convincing enough, it becomes the new truth. and Europe took that and ran with it. All the European countries take that and they run with it. How what if you read Ruins of Empires by Count Vernet in the 1700s? He said and that's the height of the slave trade in the 1700s. He said the very people we are enslaving are the very people who set up civilization as we know it and even taught us to speak. Who is this, Taaqiy?
So, we talk about reclaiming our history and our culture and our language, our spirituality, all these different things. I'm not really sure who did it. I guess Flea maybe better talk to it, but this is a recent CT scan of supposedly, right? If we know it's not, of Usamat Ra Satepin Ra, more commonly known as Ramses II. And this is important because we talked earlier about what's my man's name? Henry Gates making that comment about the only black pharaohs were those of the 25th dynasty, and suggesting that the others were, other than black. They never really want to actually define it, but other than black. Here's an image of, and they're still doing this stuff. They did the same thing with Tutankhamun when they did the CT scan, and they're really, and before our very eyes, rewriting history. So the stuff, and I want to show the family this because the stuff we're saying is not, hyperbole. We're not just making stuff up when we say these things. This is what's actually happening, and we're actually in a fight, for our lives, essentially. And the important thing here is, I want to kind of tie this into the history piece. Very recently, Kevin Hart made the comment, for those who are not aware, that the Egyptian, the pharaohs are black. He's getting a lot of backlash now. He's supposed to be doing a show in Egypt on February 21st. And there's a campaign actually to prevent him from coming. And ironically enough, these are the same people who were responsible for stopping the One Africa Return to the Source conference that we were almost a year now that we were doing in Egypt. So this fight is real, and the people behind this stuff are very real. We want to actually kind of take some time out to put some faces or some names to the faces, if you will, to kind of identify, what's really happening. Outside of the major companies or corporations, there are a lot of other active people involved to kind of prevent the rise of black consciousness.
And they're actually anti-black excellence. They're telling us, Taaqiy, that the black people of the Nile Valley didn't know what they looked like. They're trying to say some of the best artists that the world has ever seen that they can't duplicate didn't know what they looked like. Tutankhamun had no idea what he looked like. Ursa Ma'at had no idea. I even heard him say that Queen T was from Europe someplace, and that picture was a falsification. She only looked dark because of the makeup, or and the frizzy hair. I don't know why. Maybe she got electrocuted. That's why she got an afro. But they're trying to say, like right now, I want people to understand. When you go to the White House and you're in the prison room, they got a portrait of all the 45 presidents. And they choose the best artists to render that. And that's imitating ancient Kemet. So in ancient Kemet, when you had a portrait or a statue of a king, they had their best artists do that. Now Europeans are telling us that their best artist was colorblind and had no idea what they was looking at, and they just made up some stuff. We're going to show you through our computers what Europeans, that they were really Europeans, and this is what they look like. So that's insulting our intelligence.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say that our best didn't know what we look like, and we couldn't have a true vindication, but y'all know.
It's not a laughing matter, but part of it is comical. It's like you can't almost believe, like it's almost like a dream. It's like it's surreal. It's like this can't be happening. They can't possibly believe what they're saying, but they do. They do, and it's
people on your shirt. They're trying to say No, that's right. Those are the only ones that they say were black. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, and it was a time when they said that the founders of ancient Kosh were Libyans.
Right.
That was Charles Reisner's, who they call the father of modern day Egyptologists. For those who are not familiar with him, he lived in the early 20th century, and he did a lot of the early dig work in Egypt and the Sudan. Right. And their first thesis on the so-called Nubians, or the people from Kosh, was that they came in, they migrated in, they were not Africans. They already accepted the fact that Egypt was not, but now they were also dealing with this. Right.
I was in Europe once in the 1990s, and I was proving that the ancient Kemetu came from ancient Kosh, right? And so the guy told me, the European Egyptologist said, well, if the ancient Egyptians got their culture from the Nubians or the people from Kush, then the Kushites was white too. I'm like,
yeah.
Crazy. So, like right here, I just want, like I said, put a name to the face to it, what have you.
And you know, Mr. Taaqiy, excuse me, let me just interrupt you for 1 second. Can you just give everyone a kind of a backdrop, because you know, because this was happening to us, and sometimes when we talk about it like everybody knows about like what happened. So can you let's just go back. And family, you know, we had this this trip scheduled to go to Kemet in February. It was spring break or winter break in the third week in February. We had 205 people who paid to go, and we had a conference that was originally scheduled that had 12 scholars, or it is like 12 or 13 scholars that were going to go there as well. And we were going to have a 2-day conference in Aswan, Egypt, February of 2022. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, we're in the mix, and we just kind of forget what happened. And you know, one of the things I'm learning, speaking about this history thing, history is very important, and not so much necessarily history that happened 2,000-3,000 years ago, a couple hundred years ago, but history that happened very recently. And we don't want to move forward in time without really stamping this period and tell people what really happened. So the conference dates were actually February 25th and 26th in Aswan. And maybe about a month or so, about 3 weeks prior to, you know, departure, we started getting a lot of conversation online, and a lot of I think it was hashtag Start the Afrocentric Conference. And this meme you see here is the organization. It's basically, the translation is Egypt's Awareness. And they're responsible for actually doing a change.org campaign, which I thought was really interesting. Is the same people responsible for doing this so-called doing this change.org campaign against Kevin Hart. So when people are kind of speaking up and saying that ancient Egypt was black, there's a lot of pushback, and there's a lot of animosity, a lot of hate. And let's be clear that people they're racist, and they're trying to rewrite history, and they're trying to basically say that we're trying to steal their history and their legacy. And you know, listen, the reality is that, you know, they have to have some of the ancient blood in them. But the fact of the matter is, the ancient Egyptians were black. Just because they aren't today, through mixing, and Dr. Chancellor Williams talks about this in Destruction of Black Civilization, the amalgamation of North Africa and what occurred there. People don't even understand that process. So if you look, not even so much 1,000 years ago, like Bob and Mfundishi was saying about, you know, they Kemetu were the best artists in terms of describing themselves. If you look back, maybe you look at the excavation of the tomb of Tutankhamun, you see the people all in there were black in terms of people actually doing the work. So Anwar Sadat, who was a president of Egypt about 40-something years ago, was a black man. So you don't have to search that far back to see Africans in Egypt. But these people are under the notion that blacks were not there, and it's amazing. So yes, at the conference, there were certain individuals that you know, urged us to stop the conference, stop the trip, which we did. We rescheduled the trip for later on in the year. We went in the spring, Bob Mfundishi was there, along with Dr. Jeffries, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Asar Hotep.
Okay, wait. But let me stop you right there. And because we need everyone to understand that when we went under the cover of darkness, because we could also not trust people who look like us to further muddy the waters.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was one of the first things. We didn't know kind of who was who. So this whole thing, this notion of unity, Bob Mfundishi was talking about it a lot earlier, about unity, the Kwanzaa principle, unity. And out of this came the cry for power and unity. And we had the new tour dates, but we also now had to follow up or continue on with the One Africa conference. And we switched it from Egypt to Detroit. And from returning to the source, power and unity, from One Africa, returning to the source to One Africa, power and unity. And those who were there, those who stood tall with us, and those who are part of this real movement to move things forward, people who are not afraid, because essentially that's what it boiled down to. It boiled down to fear. And, there was a lot said online. And I kind of actually want to show some of the stuff, some of the change.org stuff, so we can see that these campaigns are real. The petition was real. They got about 2,000 signatures against us to stop the conference. And they're maybe around 2,000 or so now with Kevin Hart. I don't know where that's going to end up, if he's going to wind up doing the show or not. He probably is, but which he should go forward to it. This is,
So yeah, this one was the one against us. Okay. So family, like when we sit here and we talk about, oh, you guys, let's get this information and this and that. There's other people out here that are literally creating change.org, petitions to stop us from sharing our own history. That's how much they understand the power of our history. And, we're trying to get everyone that's listening to this, everyone that knows another Black person, to understand the power of our history. But they understand it. They're very clear about who we are. And that's why they're afraid.
Yes. If you can see right here, the petition change was 1,721 supporters. And it's mostly in Arabic, but the translation basically reads, people are trying to sell our history, stop the Afrocentric Conference. And you can switch over to Kevin Hart one so they can see that one.
Okay, give me 1 sec. Okay. I'm sorry. We'll check that.
And while we're doing that, I just want to reiterate the fact that the same Egypt's awareness, the same group that was responsible for the campaign in February and end of last January, is the same people or individuals who are responsible for doing this now. And so that's we have to be very clear there. And I just want to kind of go up to see the petition in terms of the
you guys can read
the amount of people.
Yeah.
And so this is really important. And this all came from the fact that the Shark Tank conversation where Mr. Hart supported Black Sands, the Black comic book, in terms of, and made the statement that it's important for Black children to see themselves, in a certain way. Back to the children we were talking about earlier, Bob Mfundishi Jhutyms, and he went on to kind of say that the pharaohs were Black. These people lost their minds, and they went crazy when that comment was made. And there's nothing, they have no proof otherwise. All they have is just emotions and feelings. They cannot prove this, and they have them stupid CT scans that we showed in terms of people really literally trying to whitewash history. And the terminology they use for us, so people are aware, is blackwashing. And that's what they say. We're trying to blackwash history.
Yeah. And you know what? And also, family, Taaqiy, talk to them about Facebook, because when this was going on, we had people texting us and saying, "Oh, you guys should shut down your Facebook because they're attacking you." But
right. So yeah,
keep it there.
One of the things, I wanted the people who were traveling to to kind of see what was going on. I didn't want to try to hide any of the conversation that was happening, that was revolving around what we were doing. And it was important people to kind of be, the transparency, people to really kind of really see it, so they can understand not only the place they were in, but also, and a lot of people who went are actually in the chat. They're here online right now. Definitely want to say shout out to all of them. Much more, much love for them, because people were actually, there were about, as Felicia was saying, there's about maybe 200 people that were going. About half actually went. Half people were there. Half people came to Detroit who were a part of it. So, there are a lot of Black people who are really, and you think sometimes these things are just conferences. Sometimes these things are just things for us to get together. It's really us drawing a line in the sand and showing up and telling people, we're standing up for who we are. So this Happy Day of Black Excellence is a part of this. It's an addendum to what occurred in last year and what's going on now with Kevin Hart. We got to tie all this in together because it's important people to really understand the connection here. And when we speak to the Day of Black Excellence, we talked about some of this earlier. We think of like ancient Kemet and places like that as a shining example for Black excellence. And it's important for people to really understand, like, when we're doing this Black excellence, we're reclaiming our legacy. We think of the pyramids, we think of the language, the temples. Just recently, we went through the.
Yeah, they're also hiding behind their religion.
Oh, absolutely.
We were there. They wouldn't let me, when we went to the pyramids, they wouldn't let me wear this necklace I got on. I had an ankh on my hat. They said I can't go in and watch the pyramids with the ankh on my head. I said, wait a minute, the ankh was created here. And the guy said, we're Muslims now. We control this. So they're anti-African. Even African stuff that they know that was created there. And that was 2022. That was this year. That was last year, just 2022. And Mfundishi, you can't come in here with an ankh on your head. And that you definitely got. And they made me take the cowrie shells. Felicia, was you there when they?
Yep. It was always. Yep. They was forever patting you down. And when you started talking, but the thing about it is every time you started speaking, everyone was like this looking. They're so scared. They're so scared. They don't. This is why we push so hard, and we need for you guys to push as equally hard, because something that happened to us can very much happen to you.
It did happen to them, and that's the point.
Yeah.
And we was making, people somehow, there was this conversation going around that it happened to HAPI. It didn't happen to HAPI. It happened to Black people. You know what I'm saying? Because we're one, and if we're the ones speaking up, or we're saying like, let's return. So let's just go be clear. Returning to the source, dealt with the connectivity and confluence of African cultures, right? We were speaking to the fact that all African cultures are connected either through language, customs, or ethnicity. You know what I mean? So that was the backdrop of the conference that we were going to have in Egypt. Now, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, interestingly enough, put out the exhibit African Origins of Civilization pretty much around the same time. Which speaks to the work of Sheikh Anta Diop in terms of the connectivity of African cultures, the Wolof to the Meta Necha, the Yoruba to the to the Nile and the Khan, all these different things we were speaking to in this conference. Same thing with this European institution. So listen, there wasn't validation because we already know our history, we already know who we are, but it's an important thing to understand the time that we're in. And, one of the other things is, and you were kind of, you were alluding to this earlier, Felicia, you talked about in the guise of darkness. And, there was a video that Al Jazeera, and there's a lot of stuff, we didn't talk about during that time, there's a lot of stuff going on that they produced in and around the conference. Al Jazeera, for those who are not aware, is one of the top news agencies or media outlets in the Arab world, and it broadcasts worldwide. But if you can get to that part, Fee.
Yeah, and we're purposely not playing the sound, family,
because it's all in Arabic anyway. But it's something that was really interesting that we kind of noticed in here. This is all again around the conference, and basically what they're saying is they're speaking about who we are and what we want to do. So this part right here, I know it's moving kind of fast, but great, you stop. So this is a part of the video. And when I first saw it, I thought they got this from social media, which is like free access. And Felicia and I are sitting in the car and I'm showing her the video because my friends that live in Dubai, they were sending it to people that I know in Egypt were sending me this. So when I saw it, I'm thinking again, it's something that we had on the HAPI Film Facebook page. And she's like, no, that's from our newsletter.
No.
And it was kind of struck me. And I was like, newsletter people are only those people who signed up for the newsletter know it's a subscription based publication. And the way you get the newsletter is from either, you have to sign up for it and then you'll be on the list, or someone had to send them a copy. So it was like
Wait, you kind of fast forward some stuff. So where someone had to send them a copy, because family, this is real. We had Dr. Malana Karenga come on and he talked about COINTELPRO, and how they pitted Black folks against each other. And, last year it was a lot of things happening all at once. So it wasn't just these people. They were a huge, piece of it, but it was also people who claim to, like Taaqiy said, they're on the newsletter list.
So we didn't know who was who. So my first thing was, all right, well, we're going to go, but we're not going to tell anybody when we're going to go. And we're going to do this and we're going to move a little differently. We're going to essentially just close the circle a little bit. But that, for me was kind of an eye opener. Because I was like, all right, well, I don't really know who's in the circle now. And I don't really, can't really say much to it, but I know, what we need to do is kind of figure this out. So this is definitely, so this all kind of leads up again to where we are now. And I feel like we've come back kind of full circle in terms of this moment. And we had this moment again last year, almost this time, and almost a year ago. It seems like a day or two just passed by. But we're coming back with the situation, and these things have to be addressed in a very real way. And Bob and Mfundishi, what is your thoughts on this?
Well, whoever controls the situation defines the situation. Right now, the Arab Islamic world are letting you know they control Egypt. And so therefore, they're changing the history as we're even talking. They're changing the imagery. They're lightening up all of the statues and all of the carvings and all of the paintings. And there's no African, I think Tony Broad is the only person even doing a dig there. Everybody else is a European company. When you look at Knet Hatshepsut Aman's mortuary temple, a Swedish team got commissioned to complete that. And so everybody got 2 or 3 shades lighter. She went from chocolate brown to high yellow, and they're in control of all of that. They're the first ones to get in to see a new discovered grave they've robbed, and they change the images before you even get a chance to see it. So they're rewriting history for his story. It has nothing to do with the truth. Like I say, they show you that computer generated. Like when you put that up there, I'm like, who's that? And I know every king in ancient Kemet, every record of a picture of ancient Kemet. I ain't never seen a face like that before. That's Ursa Ma'at Ra, Satepin Ra. They didn't know that. He wouldn't even know who that was. Okay, all right. So that's how deep that was. So I think they're doing what they need to do to control this picture. They are rewriting history. And when we try to come with the truth, they try to make us look like we're the bad guys.
Facts.
But they're not disputing our scholars. They're not disputing our scholarship. Just like
they don't touch that.
They don't want to debate us on the floor.
No.
They don't want to sit down with us because they're in control. They just want to just dismiss you.
That's
power
what it is
right now in their country that they've stolen to do it. So let me just make this parallel. The Arabs being the ancient Egyptians will be equivalent to white America, the British colony, saying they're the ancient Native Americans. That would be the same. That would be the same parallel. So if you was to come to America 1,000 years ago, I don't think you would see one European. If you was to go to Kemet 5,000 BCE when it was just formulating, you probably wouldn't see one Libyan Arab. Okay, so it's almost the same thing. So if they might, in fact, Taaqiy, if you look at statistics, see, people don't do their research. The majority of them Arabs have been here in the last 100 years. If you had been to Egypt in the 1800s, you didn't see that many Arabs. In the early 1800s, still the ancient Egyptians were black.
Right. Right.
Only in the last 150 years, you got this big influx from Iraq, Iran, Turkey, all those people moving into ancient Egypt. Yeah. And especially since the oil became a commodity with the invention of the cars and stuff like that. So now wealth and fame and richness comes in. And so all the Arabs are moving in. In fact, when we saw that, even our guide showed us, you remember those new developments on the other side of the pyramids? That wasn't even there 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like 20 million people. That's like all the people in New York City just moved there within the last 20 years.
Right.
And they're claiming ancient Egyptian, they're claiming ancient Egyptian ancestry.
You're right. Like I said earlier, if you go back just maybe 100 years ago, the majority of people in Egypt were dark skinned. They were black. You don't have to even go back 1,000 years ago,
right,
a couple hundred years. You don't have to go back that far.
In the last 150 years, it's this major influx. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interestingly enough, you still see black Egyptians today. This is where the hell they come from, you know? So this right here, just shows you just how much they were like really following what we were doing. This is after, you know, the conference was rescheduled, the trip was rescheduled, and they're speaking now about the Power and Unity Conference being held in Detroit. You know, so it just goes to show you just how type of impact, you know, that we're having. This is actually on their Twitter page. The type of impact we have, and you think, you know, when we do these things, you know, it's not making a difference. You know, all of the work and the scholars been putting in for years, and the things everyone else has been doing is really having a huge impact. And the work you guys do when you share the videos, when you support it, you come to the conferences, you know, come to the Happy Day of Black Excellence, you buy the stuff, all this stuff matters. It all counts, and it all pushes us forward to that next step. And we're going to keep fighting, we're going to keep pushing on, and this is what this is. And we have real enemies, and this is not a joke. This is not something that is, you know, again, made up. I want you guys to see it kind of firsthand. You know, a lot of it, we just kind of just do it behind the scenes, and we just kind of move on, and we just kind of just bob and weave and do what we do. So, but, you know, it's important for the family to see it, and, you know, we're not exclusive of these attacks.
Taaqiy, can you answer this question? Somebody put on here, what do the Black people of Africa have to say on the African continent? Did they make any comment or come to your defense at all or anything?
Well, you know, one of the things is, and I'll say this, I'm gonna say this now. When this happened, we were getting contacted. CNN contacted me. Al Jazeera contacted me. There were a lot of major news agencies that wanted to get the story about this because it was big in the Arab world. People didn't hear about it so much here, but in the Arab world, it was going around, and people wanted to really kind of know about it. But from the advice of certain people around us, we were kind of told to kind of play it quiet, and we didn't speak to it enough to the point where we really kind of should have gave it the attention it deserved. And, you know, so a lot of people in the African continent, I don't know if they actually really heard about what was going on last time this year. But, you know, it's something that, you know, we really needs to be addressed in a proper way. People need to hear about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, you know, can you just talk about like how did you, you know, you kind of talk about how, you know, we had the Returning to the Source conference, and then you just kind of said, okay, we're going to do it in Detroit. It's called Power and Unity. Can you just kind of talk a little bit about more of how Power and Unity came about, like that specific title?
Yeah, you know, it was quite evident from the as soon as it happened where we were lacking. You know, the unity piece. You know, had we kind of stood tall and kind of addressed it head on, this would be a different discussion.
Yeah, when you say we, what are you, like who?
You know, there were people who were involved in the process, and I would say it that way, who, for whatever reason, felt they didn't really want to take on the fight in a certain type of way. And there are people like Mfundishi and those who kind of stood tall, and we kind of moved forward. So I kind of realized kind of early on there was a divide. It was a divide and conquer tactic. All right. So
And this is in your own camp.
yeah, the people that were part of the the leadership team that was involved in the conference and the trip, and the COINTEL, as Dr. Melana Karina talked about in the last show, maybe it wasn't on the level of COINTEL. And I remember telling Dr. J this when this happened. I said, how the hell do we keep falling for the same damn tricks over and over again? And one of the things that they do is they divide and conquer. So once we divided in terms of the leadership that was involved in this, it pretty much kind of put us in a position of weakness as opposed to standing together, being in the position of strength.
Because collectively,
let me just finish this real quick. I'm sorry. So as soon as it happened, I realized again where the problem was. The problem is unity. So the only way we're going to have real power if we have unity. So we renamed the conference from Return to the Source, One Africa, Return to the Source, to One Africa, Power in Unity. And people that stood tall, we knew who they were, where they stand. So yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, Fee, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when talk about like the types of like the money that Black folks just generate, not just us, but just generate in Egypt. That economic piece, because when you talk about unity, it's not just about us standing together, but it's also the reason why we're standing together is to unify our economics.
Yeah, that's the essential piece. And Mfundishi made the comment about the open our HAPI talks. We spent $1.3 trillion last year, Professor Smalls. That's actually one of the open sound bites in the film HAPI, for those who don't know, right? So this aspect of cooperative economics, or just working amongst with Black businesses, Taaqiy Tours, which is the company we founded over 25 years ago, was in charge of overseeing the trip. People, again, a lot of them in the chat, those who supported it, were a part of this process. And unfortunately, a lot of money was lost because of what happened. And the way it was estimated, just our group alone probably generated somewhere, or gave Egypt somewhere close to about $700,000. So it's important to understand the money piece as we move forward in these endeavors, and understand just how much power we have. Again, talking about the Montgomery bus boycott, there was a lot of power that the Africans in Montgomery, Alabama had at that time, and not realizing just the power of their dollar and understanding who they are. So we need to be very clear on this, and just really kind of take this moment to kind of realize our history, again, our more immediate history. And we talk a lot about, ancient history, but we need to really talk about this immediate history, and acknowledge, honor those again who were a part of this, because they're legends. Dr. J, and Mama J, they're almost 90 years old, and they were on there. We were kind of uncertain what was happening there. We didn't really know, because there was a lot of fear mongering that went around. You know what I'm saying? During that time, a lot of people, there was a lot of the stuff they were putting on the Facebook page. There's a lot of threats, so forth and so on. And we really was like, nah, you know what? We're gonna go. We're gonna do it like this and like that. We had no problems. Everything was fine. Everything was beautiful. But the reality is that fear was used, as fear is often used as a tactic to kind of stop us from doing what we need to do. So yeah, these are the things that are real, and we need to get around. Even in the Kevin Hart one at the bottom, let me go back to that for a second. We're going to actually just read this quick caption. There's a threat there in terms of if the Egyptian government doesn't step in to I guess mitigate or cancel his performance, they have these open kind of threats. So yeah, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom,
right here,
right, An appeal to the Egyptian government officials in their positions that if they will not prevent these disastrous claims against the Egyptian people and stop this show, at the very least, there must be an official statement or official authorities that denies their words on a permanent and continuous basis. Otherwise, we are headed for something worse. I don't know what the hell that means, but it sounds like an open threat to me. So, you know, this is very real. So, you know, and you know, we talk about, again, this unity piece and just how important it is. One of the things that, you know, we're HAPI, you know, and living in the spirit of HAPI, I was like, you know, just trying to understand, just looking at what HAPI means, what HAPI represents, you know, and I realized just looking at the glyph, looking at the metal nature and getting the downloads and tap-ins from what HAPI represents and what it means. HAPI is all about unity, you know, and it's always, and it's been there. It's been very clear. You want to show that fee? It's been very clear of that from thousands of years ago. Like we had our lesson, we received our lessons and our teachings from our ancestors to kind of show you what we need to do and how we gain real power. You know, we're happy, but we're like not really understanding certain aspects of it. And one of the aspects here we see is the tying of the lotus and the papyrus plants, representing Samatawi, or the unification of upper and lower Kemet. This is so significant because you probably can't really tell here, but the Nasubeti,
go ahead,
or the ruler, he's actually seated on this, signifying that he's seated on unity. And if it was no unity, he would not exist in the terms of that, in the sense of that office, in the sense of him being the ruler of both upper and lower Kemet. So the unity is what ties it all. God, Mfundishi, I know you want to do your thing.
No, this is the very king that you just showed the white boy of.
Right. Yes.
That's the same person.
Right.
And so again, it's an insult saying that the African people did not even know what they look like.
Yes.
And that they weren't African people. And the picture, HAPI of the North and HAPI of the South, showing total unity, the papyrus and the lotus plant, all tying together, showing that even the concept of HAPI means unity of the heart and the lungs, of the upper and the lower, of the mental and the physical, of the spiritual and the tangible. That's all part of HAPI. And
yes.
It's being depicted here in every length.
Yes. So this power and unity is real. You know, it you know, it was like when this happened, I was like, all right, listen, we go no further than who we are. We are HAPI. So we went to this. And the answer was right here in terms of what we need to do and how we're going to be successful. And the only way we're going to be successful, we work together. And Bob Mfundishi Jhutyms was saying earlier about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is non-denominational. It's not a religious thing. And everybody, all Black people can get around it. They can support it. They can be a part of things like Kwanzaa. And it's talking about reclaiming our classical African culture. The way we do this is through unity. You know, we actually now, you know, we want to put up the website fee. You know, we actually now have something we've been working on for a while is our actual power and unity merchandise or apparel. And, you know, we spent a lot of time and resources really trying to, you know, come up with that. Normally, I think Fee actually has it on. We had the single HAPI for a long time. You got the HAPI shirt on, Fee?
the HAPI compass.
You got the compass on. So we had you put the website up. We had, because it's on the website, we had the single HAPI image for the longest on the shirts, but we realized that, you know, we have to be intentional in everything that we do. Yes, and one of the things that we wanted to do was, you know, have the double HAPI of Maheh and Rashi of the North and the South, tying the unity, coming together, and also have the power and unity words on the sleeve. We got the hoodies. You got the double HAPI here. Again, and the power and unity on the sleeve, which is so essential, and really understanding that this is where it's at and this is how we're going to move forward. So we have the hoodies, the long sleeve.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. That's fine. The women's and men's t-shirts, and then the long sleeve. But as you can see here, further down in the other ones, it was a single one. But now we're showcasing the double HAPI, the power and unity. All right. So, Mfundishi, I know we said a lot, just kind of talking about a lot of the stuff that occurred. But what are your, again, we're going to look to you, because we also want to underscore the importance of you standing with us, and we love and respect you for that. It was a huge so very important for you to kind of do what you did, and you definitely want to take our our hats off to you and salute you for that. So we honor you, and and much love and respect.
Well, I appreciate that. I do what I do because that's my art as a comedic spiritual priest. I'm supposed to do this, and I will continue to do it to my last breath. And then even when I take my last breath, my spirit will continue to do this. My books will still be sold. People will still be looking at my tapes. So I'm going to be doing this from the next world on. So when Asa Hilliard read my book, Spiritual Warriors and Healers, he did a critique for me. He said, 100 plus years from now, people will still be reading your book. It'll still be valuable in terms of our struggle. So that was an honor for one of my teachers, one of my teachers, to tell me, how important my contribution is. So I'm just going to continue. I do the work because it's necessary, not to get any accolades or recognition. I'm doing it because we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Wow. Yes, no, absolutely. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Yeah, no, definitely. And Dr. J and Mama J and the people that are not here on the show tonight, but there were several people that saw, that were part of the original conference, came to Egypt and came to Detroit as well and presented there. And it was powerful. There was a certain spirit in that room, Detroit, and it was like people felt what happened, and it was like something we couldn't do. In fact, we also have to make mention of the fact that when these idiots and these fools say and do these types of things, they only empower us even further. They actually add fuel to the car, if you will. So they're actually doing us a favor in some ways, and we have to take these moments and utilize them in a very constructive way. And that's what HAPI is about. So, we did the Power and Unity Conference. It was powerful. And for those who haven't seen it, it's available on the website. You can stream it. HAPIfilm.com, 12 hours, all the top scholars presenting on, the Power and Unity. So it's really, really important that you haven't seen the conference or you were not there to definitely, get that copy. And anybody who's interested in the merchandise, again, supporting, the Power and Unity, understanding the essence of what this is, please go to the website, HAPIfilm.com, the t-shirts, long sleeve tees, your HAPI hoodies, which is something new for us. We never had any hoodies before. Definitely be a part of that. The newsletter, which is an essential component to the HAPI movement, because this is a real movement. Please sign up for the newsletter. Like, share, comment on the video. Shout out to all those people who gave us the love donations today. Super chats, definitely countless of those, and the cash apps. Dua, much love, Mur, appreciate it. And if you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, we have Mfundishi has final thoughts because he got a lot of stuff going on.
Well, first of all, again, I'd like to say to HAPI team, thank you, Felicia and Taaqiy, for inviting me and allowing me to be a part of this movement. I was in the movement before the movement was created, and will continue to be in the movement for eternity. So that's a privilege, that's an honor, and I'm glad to be able to make a contribution. I also have some other things happening on January the 15th. I'm starting another masterclass. Teaching the Medu Necha. So if people want to know, taking the Medu Necha class, there's a 1 and a 2. So the information is here. They can sign up. It's a 10-week course because on April the 3rd, I'm actually taking a group to Egypt on April the 3rd for 2 weeks. And we'll be doing all the things that we normally do. And one extra thing, we'll be in the Nubian village this time. We spent a whole day, 2 days in the Nubian village and do the Nubian Culture Center. We also are going to cross Kemet to the to the Red Sea. And we spend the last 2 or 3 days in a luxury thing on the Red Sea where you can do snorkeling, see the live coral, the fish, the whole type of thing there on the Red Sea. So the last 2 days. So it's 2 weeks. And that's from April 3rd to April 15th. In March, 7th through the 15th, I'm taking the group to Costa Rica to do a relaxation and rejuvenation in Costa Rica. And we'll be there. Costa Rica is in the red zone. And this is the red zone. In this case, it's a blue. It's called the blue zone. I'm sorry, not the red zone. But that's where the people who live the oldest on the planet Earth, this atmosphere that is there in terms of ideal weather, ideal conditions, and all of that. So we're going there to mix, and it's all black town, almost all black. So we're going to be there rejuvenating. We also have Brother Aris is coming in, the live food expert, on one of the days and do a live food demonstration. I'll be lecturing, talking about history. We'll be going on nature walks and things of that nature. And we're only a block away from the beach, so you get a chance to get your swim on. So that's happening there. That's in March. So April, Kemet, March there. I don't have the flyer up, but we'll also be taking a group in May to Brazil. I went to Brazil 2022 for 3 weeks, but this trip is going to be just for like a week and a half. Mm-hmm. We get a chance to connect with the Africans in Brazil who are in the same struggle that we're in, Taaqiy, the exact same struggle. And their enemy looks almost like ours, except he speaks Portuguese instead of English, okay? But he's even more ruthless than this English-speaking one, and I don't think you could get worse than this. But when you see the type of foot he got on the black people in Portugal, so, in Brazil, but it's the idea that they're reaching out. They want to do work with black people. They want to do work with us in the diaspora, and they're Pan-Africanists. So the circle that we're traveling when we're there is a part of a Pan-African movement. So I was fortunate to connect with them. I went to the Quilombos. We take people to Quilombo, Palmares, the legendary hero who actually defeated the Portuguese. That was even before Haitian. Like they say, Haitian is the first republic in the West, the Western Hemisphere, but they did it in Brazil even before that. 1495, Palmares liberated themselves from the Portuguese. It was free for several years before they were finally conquered. That's 1495. So I just need people to know, not just 1850. We've been in this struggle for a long time, and it needs to intensify and to continue. On January the 22nd, the shrine is celebrating My Earth Day. And so I'd like to invite everybody to come out to the Black Genesis Culture Museum to celebrate Mfundishi in his mid-70s. Come on out and celebrate with me.
Yes, January 23rd.
So hopefully HAPI will be there in the house to help us do that.
Let me tell you, if you get that woman to cook that food that cook for Kwanzaa.
we have all that. So again, we got January 22nd. I got a program in Harlem. March, we're going to Costa Rica. In April, we're going to Kemet. And in May, we're going to Brazil. So each month, I'm doing the work. I'm going there. I'm spreading the program. I'm doing the culture. I'm doing the Medu Nature. I'm doing Kupagani and Gumi, African martial arts. I'm doing Kemetic yoga. I'm doing the spirituality. We're doing all of this each time we're doing it. And people come to the Black Genesis Museum, 504 West 126th Street, where we're promoting Black culture 24/7. I'm usually there all day, Sundays and Mondays. We're bringing in rites of passage programs. So we talk about what can we do. I'm doing rites of passage programs like we did in the 60s and 70s. I'm doing that again with a beautiful African backdrop, so kids can see who they are and be a part of that. And I'm implementing rites of passage program for the first time for people who are out of the area. So even if you're in Houston, Texas, or you're in Buffalo, New York, whatever, you can be in our rites of passage program via the internet. So that we're implementing that this year. So 2023 is going to be an exciting year. This is 6263 from the Kemetic spiritual calendar. but we understand that we're upside down, inside and backwards. So I got to give both dates. Okay.
Yeah.
So people, I appreciate all those who support us. Again, they have my information here. Mfundishi Jhutyms at Yahoo is my email. Mfundishi Jhutyms is .net is my website. Facebook is also Mfundishi Jhutyms, and Instagram is Mfundishi Jhutyms. So stay in touch with us. I'll be here, part of the HAPI. But again, make sure you come out February 4th and hear me speak at Black Excellence. And that's what it's all about. I mean, come early and stay late.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, before we go, we need to kind of just get back into this Day of Black Excellence. You want to put the meme up, Felicia, and just kind of, we want to, family.
If you guys were in that Power Unity, Mfundishi, he opened it. And I mean, just the way he was walking, and like the whole time, I just kept, remember Mfundishi, I just kept looking at you. I was like, dang, it's like you walked in that room, like you commanded that space. And walking in Black excellence.
You know what? And Mfundishi was not supposed to open the conference.
Exactly.
That was a last minute scratch-in, right? There were further attacks that we did not mention earlier against the Power and Unity Conference, which caused certain people who were involved, and I'm not going to say these people's names, to then step out. Once this happened, we had to rearrange things. And one of the kind of last minute changes, Mfundishi opened it up. So the reality was, no matter what happened, Netcha and the ancestors were going to be with us, and they was. Now, Queen Mother Brenda Allen just said it a little while ago about the certain spirit and energy that was there, and that was real. So people, family, this ain't no jive, this ain't no BS. That same energy is going to be in the building on Saturday, February the 4th. You got to get your tickets. You got to be a part of this experience, because it's not going to be something you're going to want to forget. And it's more for us. It's not a show. It's not a bunch of lectures. It's an experience that we curated. An experience really centers around Black love. And here we have it right here. Dr. Ken Harris, the moderator and host, Dr. Susan Tata. She was in the chat. I don't know if Dr. Tata is still here with us, but she was here a little while ago. Commenting, Riza Islam, Dr. Gina Falou, excuse me, Professor James Small, Mfundishi Jhutyms, Professor Kama Kamene, Brand Newbies is going to be there performing their major hits. Lyrical Faith, Brother Jamar Milton, The Lighthouse is going to be there. It's going to be extended clips of HAPI and Out of Darkness, Heavy is the Crown, Volume 1, as well as African dancers, drummers, and as Fleet was saying earlier, the HAPI cast. So it's going to be elders and scholars that are not on the flyer that's going to be there in the building. Their presence is going to be there.
Baba Haru specifically was like, I'm going to be there.
Absolutely. So family, definitely people who, the family that's here, everyone's coming out. So it's not going to just be the folks you see here. It's going to be it's going to be the Black family. So you definitely got to come out and be a part of this.
Yeah. And
and I'm sorry, there was a few people as we've been talking that's been just getting their tickets during the show. So I don't know if people want to wait to the end of the show to do it, but don't wait too long. Sorry, Fee, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, it's real. We love everybody, but after we hit after we hit the number, we can't even let you in anymore, because we don't want to get, the occupancy. You know how we got, these little government rules around here. So family, just get your tickets now. Secure your space so you're good. You can just work on getting your outfit together, because there's going to be a lot of Black excellence outfits. And speaking of outfits, you have Mfundishi's information. He did, I'm telling you, his Kwanzaa show with the fashion show was beautiful. So if you need to get some gear, because I saw Waleed. So Waleed traveled with us to Egypt this last time when we were in September. And there's a picture if you go to our IG page and our Facebook page. And family, if you're not following us on those on our social media platforms, please just follow us and hit the notifications button on YouTube. But if you look at our Facebook or IG and even Twitter, you'll see a picture of Mfundishi Jhutyms with Waleed, and when they both have their wings. And so, Mfundishi is famous for making the wings. Okay. And Waleed was like, he couldn't wait to get his outfit because he was like, I'm wearing it in Kemet and this and that. So I'm telling you, family, get your ticket now. The next payday, I'm not trying to put I'm not trying to be in y'all's pocket, but I'm just saying next payday, get your outfit and be ready in February because it's gonna be spectacular. It's gonna be
like that word, spectacular. Yeah, spectacular.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Because we don't even know we just don't know how delicious we are as people, and this is a good opportunity for us to figure this out for ourselves. And like Mfundishi's talking about, if your mind is right, we can move forward. We can build these schools. We can, get these rites of passage programs. And family, please, if you are not in the New York area, but when you come visit and so you Times Square and all stuff, make sure you hit up Mfundishi's Genesis Museum, because it's nice. As soon as you walk in, you feel Black excellence love. It's really a nice space. So yeah.
Yes. And for those people who are not in the New York area or the tri-state area, get your live stream tickets. You got to get your live stream tickets and be a part of the experience. So
you can, Denise, you can watch it from home. And Denise, while you at home watching Black Excellence, a day of happy Black Excellence, make sure you have some other people in there with you, because this is what this is about. This is gonna be a little different than the Power and Unity, because Power and Unity, we actually edited it afterwards. It just really kind of took out the pauses and made like a video that you could download. Well, we're not doing this with Black Excellence, so it is what it is. So if you are in the house, you see it, and if you're on that live stream, you get it for a couple of days, and then after that, it's gone. So family, make sure that you are in the house and supporting. Dr. Rashidi, you remember Dr. Rashidi would say this all the time, is that, we can't do everything, but everybody has to do something.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah. So, you may not be able to start a whole movement by yourself, but you can, definitely, buy a ticket and help us, as we, as we're doing this, or help. Yeah. Or, or help, Mfundishi with the rights and, the rites of passage program. You may not have the knowledge or whatever to do it, or the time. He's already he got it. He's like waiting. So
one of the lessons and messages in HAPI was that economics, the currency is real current. It's like an electrical current, and it's not necessarily money or diamonds or gold. It's the energy that we give each other, and we have this currency exchange here. People sharing the video, liking the videos, commenting, just coming, to the shows and showing up and, supporting Cash App, Super Chats, or whatever you're doing, the concerts, the trips is definitely, it's love, and it's the type of currency that's needed to move these movements forward. And we appreciate each and last every one of you guys. We say it from the bottom of our hearts. We love you guys, and for us, this is really important because we want to give you guys something special.
Yeah.
Some people ask, will I have a booth? I'll be there. I'll be right front and center. I'll be front and center with Black Excellence, showing my books and my crystals. So I have my books and my crystals there.
Yes. And just shout out to my mentor, man, Michael Friend. He runs the Soul and Motion Players. We couldn't get off this this stream without me giving this brother right here a shout out. It's where I first got started with him. Michael Friend, Soul and Motion Players, his African drumming group. I mean, it is really remarkable. So right there, 39 years of Black excellence, and he's celebrating this month. So yep, if you guys are a DMV area, I'm gonna have to roll on down there to see a little We Are Africa. That's the play he produced, along with everything else. So yes, family. See, we have got Black excellence everywhere. It's right there. It's right there.
All right, and I think we have the announcement for our show this upcoming Thursday, right?
Yes. So yeah, we're so excited. So our host for that hosted Power and Unity and is going to host the Happy Day of Black Excellence, Dr. Ken Harris and Dr. Tyreen Wright. they will be in the House on Thursday, and they will be talking about the legacy of Booker T. Washington. So that's going to be,
and its connection to Black excellence. Yes.
Yes. So family, please make sure you support. You have, I mean, these two cats, I mean, they know Booker T. Washington. So this is going to be a good one. Yep. Yes. We're bringing Black excellence.
Yes. All right, family. So listen, we know what we need to do. We need to get our tickets for the Happy Day of Black Excellence. The new Happy merch is out. The hoodies.
Or your merch. Yo, thank you. Look, you get your ticket, get your merchandise. I'm just saying.
Yes, you can come out.
Have ours on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get your merch, your tickets. For those people who haven't seen the Power and Unity conference is there. Now we know the real history around everything. And please like and share this video. Make sure this video gets out to many people as possible. We need this video to actually go viral. People need to really, really understand what's going on right now. We need to do as much as we can to make sure people see and hear this video and really understand the history, our history, our story that just happened and where we are right now for the fight for, our place in history, for our plight, for this place in this world. And people are really trying to erase our history with these silly CT scans and just yeah, Bob and Felicia, I feel you, man. It's a head shaking moment. Only thing you can do is kind of shake your head, There's a National Geographic, just a kind of side note, they did the CT scan on Tut. I often show it sometime. You know what? It's in my bag. It's in my bag. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, and I will just talk to you guys. So listen, when you guys get the Power and Unity conference, okay, the live stream, you're specifically you are specifically fighting the revolution with getting the DVD. I mean the digital download. You can rent it too, but that's what they didn't want no one to see was that Power and Unity conference. They didn't want anybody to see that. And so every time you guys see it and then you share it with somebody, you tell somebody to look at it, you are being part of like boots on the ground soldier with fighting this revolution. So that's what they want. They didn't want nobody to see those 13 hours. They didn't want to see Mfundishi walking out like this. They didn't want to see Dr. Susan Tata having us all in tears, or Baina Bello calling out in her Haitian calls. Like they didn't want nobody to see that. And so, it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, no, definitely want to go ahead and get your copies of those things. It's essential. So
okay, Doriel just got her ticket. All right, that's what's up.
So here is okay. So here is to make sure I don't lose my place. See, you want to give me all right. There we go. This is National Geographic's CT scan of Tutankhamun, more commonly known as King Tut. It's interesting because they'll do that, and I actually had the image here. I lost my place, but when they show that image, they never really want to show his actual Sabah. Am I saying it correctly, Mfundishi, the mummy?
Yeah, the Sahu.
The Sahu, excuse me. They never want to show that, which is very, very melanated. And I can't really see my hands here.
Oh yeah, back. You have to bring it back some.
Okay, there we go.
And go to your right. Yeah.
All right, there we go. All right, that's the actual image of the Sahu. Looks very, as we see, melanated. And if you read inside the article their justification for the melanated Sahu is the resin that was placed or used during the mummification process. The resin is like clear in its substance, and it wasn't placed on the body, it was placed in between the bandages to, the linen wrap and on the Sahu. So, these lies go on and on and on, but, they use this to, kind of explain what they look like. But the Sahul says something totally different. Beautiful thing is we can still see the truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's still there. We don't have to kind of dig and try to make it up. So Saturday, February 4th, this is just a sneak peek of what you guys are going to get. It's going to be a powerful experience. Get your tickets now.
Yep. And Mfundishi Jhutyms, can you say power unity in Key Swahili?
Well, umoja, that's that word umoja, so you have umoja the great power of unity. So you can just do it umoja sana. Like Sante Sana is much power. So it's umoja Sante, umoja sana.
Umoja sana. Okay. All right. We have to make sure we start saying that for our African brothers and sisters. Yeah, we got to get it. Yeah, we can't. You're not gonna leave HAPI behind.
In the 60s, we used to say Kwa umoja, Harambe Kwa umoja. This all pulled together for unity. Harambe Kwa umoja.
Yes, pull it all together for unity. That's what's up. Okay, fam. HAPIfilm.com. You can get everything. You want to close it, Taaqiy?
I think it's fitting to let Mfundishi close it out.
All right.
Amindra nasut netra, Achinra nebenank, de inu ank uja sinebneb. Anajrak amen, anuk amen. Anajrak mut, anuk mut. Anajrak kunsu, anuk kunsu. Anajrak asar, anuk asar. Anajrak aset, anuk aset. Anajrak haru, anuk haru. Anajrak patah, anuk patah. Anajrak sekmet, anuk sekmet. Anajrak nefer atun, anuk nefer atun. May all the Nesharu, may all the principles, may all our ancestors gather and be around us, guide us, give us strength in the 21st century to be the true Africans that we're supposed to be. Power and excellence. Dua Netja.
Dua Netja.
All right, there it is.
I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority. Honestly,
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?